Hello! Welcome to the analysis, backstory, behind the scenes, lyrical explanation for Bedrock, the new album by me Digibro, and this guy.
MZShaidu. That's how it's pronounced.
Beat producer.
It's not Shidu. It's not Shaidu. It's Shaidu.
MZShaidu.
Yeah.
We just released this album. If you haven't heard the album yet, you should go listen to it once or twice before watching this video. If you listen to it and you're into it and you want to get your own meanings out of the lyrics, or you want to feel like a smart guy for figuring out what all the lyrics mean, you know, without having them just explained by me, then I recommend listening to it a few more times. But we're gonna dive into all of it and explain our whole process, what went into this album, why it's important to us, why it was worth releasing. So, to start with, I think the story begins with you deciding to start making music 6-9 months ago, maybe?
It was about 9 months ago, yeah.
So, tell us that story.
Alright, so I'd already planned on making music a long time ago, like 2 years ago, but I never really did it because I felt like everything was bad and that it would take too long to learn FL Studio enough to make something. Well, that's really zoomed in now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, alright, so I was like, I guess I'll start making beats again because I was really bored and I felt kind of emotional, which is exactly how music is made.
Yeah.
And so I was like, let me learn FL Studios better. And then I taught myself pretty much the entire program through sort of watching Frank Japsy's videos and becoming inspired by him. And then,
well, like, up to that point, like, you've been trying to get into music for a long time, but you were trying to play drums for the longest time. And you just got an electronic drum kit for Christmas and stuff.
Right.
All because you were, like, an expert drum player in Rock Band.
Yeah.
And so, for like a long time, it's like you had an interest in getting into music, but it just kind of didn't come together. But then when you discovered FL Studio and how to use it, it seems like everything changed rapidly.
Yeah, it was pretty quick. I started making things that I was like, this isn't really that bad. And I think when I made, crap, what was my song before Waves?
Fruity Bass?
Yeah, Fruity Bass. I was like, this is actually getting pretty good, and I decided that most of the songs that I had released before that I gave like actual names, I would put into a little mixtape, which is called In a Mini. It's on my SoundCloud, check it out.
Yeah. So you've been releasing all these, like, Shade was releasing all these beats that were all pretty much completely different from each other.
Yeah.
It was all like different techniques, different experimentations, a lot of Daft Punk influence kind of stuff.
The first song on In a Mini actually has a sample from Daft Punk before they were Daft Punk.
Right. And so all across those early releases, like, at first you were using a free version of FL Studio that doesn't allow you to save at all. So Shade was making these beats all in one sitting and then exporting it, and then the project file was gone.
Yeah.
So anything that didn't quite sound right, because some of those beats are like almost good, but there's just like one thing's too loud, you know?
Yeah.
And it can't be changed because the project files are all gone. But I think it was Fruity Bass was the first one I remember hearing. I don't know if it's the first one that like that you sent me or whatever, but like you played it for Victor, and Victor sent it to me, and he was like, rap over this and let's make a music video out of it.
I think it was that I was telling Victor that I was making music, and then he played like all of them, and he liked Fruity Bass the most.
I see. Because like, I'm always encouraging everyone I know to try to make art and to try to, follow artistic endeavors that they're interested in. But I also have very little trust of anyone who does it, right? Because, like, if you make, let's say you get into beats for, like, 2 weeks, and then you lose interest, then, like, if I got excited about it and I was like, hey, I'm gonna rap over your beats, then, like, I'm shit out of luck because, you ran out of steam or something. So it was like, I knew you were making beats, but I wasn't really paying attention until Victor was like, let's make a music video. Because Victor, our brother Victor, is a movie producer, director rather, He loves making music videos, and he wanted to try to do one with us. So Shade sent me Fruity Bass, which you can listen to on SoundCloud. Yep. It's a pretty solid beat.
SoundCloud.com/MZShaidu, I think that's it.
It's unfortunately one of the ones that can't be changed at all.
Yeah.
But Shade had sent it to me, and I thought it was pretty cool, and I wanted to do, like... Victor told me to do something spacey.
Yes.
And his interpretation of spacey... Because that's all he said. Make something spacey over this, because he wanted to make a spacey music video. So when I think spacey, I think, like, long gaps and, like, reverb and, like, this very distant feeling. So I wrote this rap that was, like, kind of meant to sound like somewhere between, like, Lil Ugly Mane and, like, Cities of Eve, who I'm a fan of, who always has, like, these shouty vocals that are heavy in reverb. And, like... If you listen to Death Grips, he sounds a lot like MC Ride, but over much more chilled out, spacey beats. And so I recorded something like that, and I wasn't that happy with it. Victor hated it. Shade didn't like it.
I wasn't very happy with it either.
It just wasn't that strong of a rap, but, like, Victor was like, this is not at all what I had in mind. And he described spacey, and he's like, something like this, and he, like, goes searching for, like, prog rock songs or something. I'm like, what the fuck do you want from me? Like, what is this meant to communicate in a rap song? But then, the last song that you put on Any Mini was Waves, right?
No, that wasn't part of Waves.
Any Mini.
Yeah, that wasn't part of Any Mini, because,
it was just the next one afterwards.
Yeah, I finished Any Mini, and then you were like, or actually, it was one song before I finished Any Mini. The last song on Any Mini was, this one thing... Can't remember what I think it was called. Future Bass, I think it was called. Or, yeah, it was something with the same title as the other song we're talking about, Fruity Bass or whatever.
Yeah.
And that was the first song I had made after you got me the full version of FL Studio.
Right. God, you know what I mean. I was telling Shade, like, you need to acquire the full version, because this whole only can work on a song for one afternoon thing is ridiculous. And you had lost an entire song to the program just shutting down on you.
I lost an entire song because...
You know what? It wasn't Fruity Bass that I caught on to first. It was that song, the Ghost one. What was it called? It was, like, sad. It was...
Ghost of the Fallen Fruit.
Yeah, because each of Shade's songs would have Fruity in the title because they're all made in Fruity Loops, and then the ones that were like considered failures were all called Purge It.
Yeah.
So it's like it looks like Project, but it's Purge It.
Yeah.
And so he would post all the Purge It's on SoundCloud, and like you were working on some song and accidentally lost it, and it was like the song you were the most proud of.
Yeah.
And then you made the Ghost of the Fallen Fruit, which actually I really liked, and I thought it was super catchy. And that was the song that made me realize that you have like a mind-blowing natural talent for melodies. Like any of Shade's music, listen to any of the beats from Bedrock on their own, or if you listen to it enough to get past my vocals and you can start to like appreciate the music, the melodies are super fucking catchy on like every song. And like, I was listening to that song, and I was just like, it was stuck in my head instantly after hearing the song, like, once. And that was true for most of Shade's beats. And so, like, I was like, it's not just a matter that you were getting into beats, it's that you were instantly more talented than, like, hundreds of people I've known before, you know? Like, because I was a part of the, you know, Brony music community and stuff, and there were tons of people who were, like, new producers using FL Studio, making, like, the most generic EDM trash out there. And you just, like, surpassed all of them instantly just by having a knack for melody, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was really into, like, the melody of that song. My friend Endless Jess, who appears a lot on this album...
3 times.
...was also really into your beats and melodies. And he's rapped on a few of Shade's beats just on his own, like, just grabbed a couple and done it.
He's said that, but I think he's only actually done it to IO.
I think he's done it to one other... Well, technically he did it to Failure, but we'll talk about that later.
He said he wanted to do it to Secret, but he never did.
Yeah, I think he has a written rap for that. He just hasn't recorded it.
Yeah.
Jesse writes so much more content in every medium he works in than he actually records because it takes so long to get around to recording stuff, you know?
Yeah.
That he just like stockpiles raps. God, when I sit next to you, I feel so fucking huge. You look tiny compared to me.
Because you're also sitting forward. Hold on, let me sit like you.
It won't make a difference.
I can't even because you take up more than half the couch. But this is how you're sitting.
Not really. You're leaning even farther forward.
No, this is how you're sitting.
Look how big your head looks compared to mine now.
I just have a longer neck.
And whatever. Maybe it's a perspective thing with the camera. Anyways, so Waves. Like, I had gotten Shade the full version of Fruity Loops so that he'd be able to save fucking songs. Because I was like, if you're going to try to do this seriously, if you're going to keep making songs as much as you have been, you need to be able to save some fucking songs and have bigger projects. So I guess Waves was one of the first ones you did that way, right?
Yeah. So the first one that I had made was that other one that was on Inimini. And after that, I was like, alright, what do I want to make that's a bit bigger? And so I was like, I feel like future bass is probably the best easy genre that I could start doing. And I thought that Waves kind of sounded future bassy, though I feel like it also is a bit more dubstep. But it came out, and I was like, this sounds pretty good, and kind of liked it.
At first, I thought there was no way I could rap on it. Because like the opening part, where it's like the ding, 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 ding. I was like, well, I can't rap over that. And like the first time I heard the song, I just thought it was confusing. And then like later on, I was listening to it, and that song, instrumental alone, is a fully fledged out song. Like, it didn't need vocals. And so I was like, I don't even need to rap on this. It's so good by itself, I feel like I'll be tarnishing it. Because, like, a lot of my rap goes over the melody, which is that...
Yeah.
Which I fucking love. And, you know, I got that melody stuck in my head, and I love everything about that song. I think, honestly, it's, like, one of your strongest instrumentals by far. Like... in terms of like feeling like a song that has multiple phases and parts, it has the part where it gets quiet, and I love the chord progression, I love the melody, I love the sounds. It's just really strong.
I think that's due in part to the fact that like you can hear that Waves, and then the two I made after that, Your and Dude Industry, they're all kind of made to be fully fledged out songs.
Right.
But then I was like, I started to feel like it would be really hard to rap over those songs because they're too...
That was kind of the problem. Like, with Waves, I initially thought I couldn't, and then Your and Dude Industry, which are both great standalone songs, I couldn't rap over. Your is a deep, almost like C-punky...
yeah, it's pretty C-punk.
It's like a C-punk hip-hop song, which is pretty dope, but I couldn't rap over it. And then Dude Industry literally sounds like the backing track to like a How It's Made video or something. And it's
I love it.
It's like Shane's favorite song he's ever made. It's so upbeat.
It's one of my favorite songs.
No way I could rap over that. Because like, okay, so that explains sort of how you got started in production leading up to this album. Where I was leading up to this album is that, like, I've been doing musical projects forever. For as long as I've fucking had the internet, right? But they've never been good, and I've always just been doing like random, weird, usually improv shit. And I mean, if you go to the bandcamp page where we've released this album, you'll see like 20 album releases, all me and my friends, all in totally different musical styles. You know, before that I had a Pure Volume account, and just like, there's tons and tons of music from me out there, none of it's very good. And for me, music has always been an outlet for emotions that are usually negative, and usually stuff that I don't feel that comfortable talking about, or stuff that like stuff that's harder to express with words. Where like it's harder to get across certain feelings like by explaining them. Like if you're just explaining why you feel that way, like what has caused you to be angry about something, it just kind of sounds trivial in comparison to how the emotions actually feel. Yeah. So like when you put that little bit of veiled, you know, bit of lyricism and then you deliver it in like a song or a rap, then it can have more impact and feel more like, you know, you can really feel the full blunt force of the emotions. So like for me, like rapping and stuff, which I got into rapping mostly in 2013 because that's when I started listening to rap music more seriously. Like I grew up with rap being around, you know, like, I listened to lots of rap rock and just general rap stuff from the 90s. You know, I grew up with Eminem on the radio and shit, and Linkin Park and stuff. So, like, I've always understood rap on some level, but I was never, like, a huge hip-hop head until, and this is pretty much the same for you, we both got into Good Kid, Mad City by Kendrick Lamar.
Kendrick Lamar.
And that pretty much got us into...
Mass hallucination, baby.
That pretty much got us into hip-hop in a big way. We both are huge fans of chants and acid rap. Well, neither one of us likes Coloring Book, but we're both huge fans of acid rap.
Good story. Because my phone, has been dead and I can't charge it for, the past 4 days, which has really sucked. I've been listening to the radio.
Why can't you charge it?
The chargers just don't work.
What the fuck?
I've only got one that works, but it charges it at a pace of, 1% per 20 minutes. It's awful. But I haven't had my phone, so I've listened to the radio, and I found, Breakfast Club, which is, the hip-hop radio, and Chance's, You Don't Want No Problem, the song,
You
came
don't
on.
got no problem with
And
me.
It didn't even actually occur to me that it was his song for a little bit. But before I even realized it was his song, I just yelled. I was alone in my car, and I went, ah! And then I was like, why did I have that reaction? It angered me enough that I yelled. That's not even,
That's
one of the
one of
worst
the best songs on
Yeah,
there.
it's one of the good songs.
Anyways, we both love acid rap, and Trap Lord and A$AP Ferg, A$AP Rocky. You're more into Rocky than I am, but
I'm way more into Ferg than I am into Rocky, but Rocky's good.
What's some other ones? We got into hip hop in 2013, basically, and both of us kind of at the same time. But for you, it kind of became all you listen to. That's kind of your main genre these days, right?
Pretty much.
If I send Shade something, it's hip hop usually, whereas I still listen to every genre under the sun. But and you have kind of cited that what made you want to produce beats was just To Pimp a Butterfly, right?
It's so good. It was To Pimp a Butterfly and Angels. One of the songs on Coloring Book, because that's one of my favorite songs of all time.
Yeah.
But I heard it, and it was so, inspiring and great. And then at this, I guess it wasn't really that far beforehand, To Pimp a Butterfly had come out, and that was really freaking good. And I was like, I need to start making music. I need to...
Well, because the way you put it to me was kind of that To Pimp a Butterfly was, the first work of art that really, reached you in a deep way.
Yeah.
It's
good.
In a particularly deep way.
It's good.
So anyway, so at this point, I haven't written any music for a long time because, to me, I've only ever been able to write music when I was in, a bad mood and there was something I needed to express that I couldn't through videos. And that hadn't really been happening for a long time. Normally, most of the albums on Trial of the Golden Witch were either because my friends were around and we just recorded something random, or I got really upset and wanted to do something different from videos. So when Shade started making beats, I was like, what am I going to rap about, And then I was listening to Waves, and I was just really drunk and listening to the song, and I decided to put out a rap, and I wrote the lyrics, which were just sort of about... Well, I'll get into it. We'll do a bar-by-bar lyrical breakdown of Waves. So... It goes, livelihood ain't got much to do with it. Happiness bobs and weaves like a buoy at sea. That's about how, money doesn't buy happiness, right? Everyone says that, but, this is another way of saying it, that livelihood doesn't have much to do with whether or not you're going to be consistently happy, because no matter how much money you have and how well you're doing, you're always going to have different problems, It's just... If you're poor, then more of your concerns are about money. But if you have money, your concerns are about interpersonal relationships or how to deal with, whether or not you're doing what you want to be doing and stuff like that, So, even though I'm doing well in terms of livelihood, my happiness is still bobbing and weaving like a buoy at sea. There's lots of ocean imagery in this because it's Waves, A lot of the time... whatever random title Shade gave a song on SoundCloud would influence the lyrics of what we would put into the songs. Me and Jesse, I mean.
Which is pretty funny, because at first, I was not putting the titles on SoundCloud as the titles of the song when I made it. Because songs like Fruity Move Your Feet, which is part of Inimity, it's originally titled Farfignugan, because I was like, I'm feeling pretty Farfignugan. And then something else was titled something differently. I can't remember, but I started just leaving a lot of them as their titles. So things like Final Stretch, I just titled it Final Stretch because it was one of the last songs.
Yeah, and I mean, some of them I would change the title, but some of them I would leave it the same, depending. But with Waves, it was Shade had called it Waves on his original upload, and then mine is Waves at, like, mine was Waves and then in parentheses at dawn.
Yeah.
So, okay. I concede that it helps to be free, but the feelings of entrapment are real, which is just saying that, like, yeah, having more freedoms and having more, like, privileges will make it helps to make you happier, but feeling entrapment is still real. Like, no matter how well you might be doing, you might still feel entrapped by the world around you. I can only feel what I'm made to feel. I can only be as much as what I am. Call me what you will. Review me as you see fit. I'll admit to any accusation. So that's just saying, like, you know, like, you don't really control your feelings necessarily. If something happens to you and it makes you feel a certain way, or if you're just predisposed to feeling a certain way, then it's gonna happen. You know, if you're the kind of person who gets depressed, then you're gonna get depressed. And it's not about how well off you are. It's about how your mind works. And, like, I can kind of only feel what I'm made to feel and be who I am. And then call me what you will, review me as you see fit, I'll admit to any accusation, is basically just the I am whatever you say I am. The song Way I Am by Eminem is probably, like, the single most influential rap song to me. Because, like, everything he expresses in that song are feelings that I feel all the time about, like, my relationship to other people and the world around me and, you know, being a celebrity online and stuff like that. I feel like, you know, I can't say anyone's wrong for feeling how they feel about me. I know how I feel, and that's the feeling I value the most. But, like, if you're gonna say, you're an idiot fuckboy, then I'm like, well, what can I say? Sure, I'm an idiot fuckboy. Like, that's, you're gonna feel that way, so review me as you see fit. I'll admit to any accusation. This vacation took a bitter turn into better art. The use of the word vacation there is because it fits the rhyme scheme. You'll find in a lot of these songs that sometimes I will kind of bullshit the meaning of the lyrics to fit the rhyme scheme. So, this vacation took a bitter turn, but it turned into better art. And I like the line anyways, because it's implying that, like, you know, even though whatever situation I'm in has turned sour, it has made the art better. Like, because even though, like, vacation, like, describing my life as a vacation, like, you know, I'm in this great spot in my life, but it's taken a bitter turn, and as a result, now I'm writing a rap song, you know, like, as a result of the fact that I'm sad about something. The truth in my heart is that I want to get a better start. I don't have much in the way of confidant, but there's no affront to the way the lyrics flow by font. This is the most forced rhyme scheme of all time. Confidant, doesn't mean confidence.
I would argue
no
that
affront. I don't have much in the way of confidence, but there's no affront to the way the lyrics flow by font, you know.
I would argue that the end of Actualize is the most
I don't think so. I don't think that one's as bad.
I don't know. Something about...
But anyways, it was just saying, like, you know, even though I want to, like, even though I think I'm in a pretty good position, I'd like to be in an even better position. I want an even better start before I sort of go off on my own. And the theme of this song that emerges especially in the second verse is that I see myself as still being on a tether, and this was written 6 months ago, so, you know, it was kind of like I still live with my parents. I still, even though I'm kind of self-sufficient, I make my own money, I buy my own things, you know, I pay my own rent, but I still feel like I'm tethered to something that's protecting me, you know, so when I say I want to get a better start, it's like I don't feel like I have enough, like, money and, like, of a career that I could move on my own. So I'd like to get an even better start. You know, I don't have much in the way of confidant, but at the same time, there's no affront to the way the lyrics flow. Like, even though I'm not that confident in myself, people are giving me money, and it is successful. So there's no denying that the lyrics are flowing. I don't know what flow by font means, other than that it's rhymes with my made-up versions of the other two words. 20 beers may not yet be enough. 20 waves might take me too far out. I don't want to drown, but I want to float here forever. Don't take me off the tether. So the 20 beers, and this comes up in Rotten as well, where I say like 18 bottles deep, because I had this like 20-pack of Yingling that was sitting on my table for a long time. If you watch, what's it called? Insomnia Analysis 2. I talk about how I was trying to put together this ARG at the time, and like part of the theme of the ARG was that I had, like, it starts with me opening this box of all these Yinglings, and then every video I was going to be drinking a Yingling, and eventually you'd see the bottles pile up on the table. So like I drank like 10 of them, and they were all piled up on the table, and they just stayed there for months because I never finished that video series. So because this was recorded around the same time, I make reference to the 20 beers may not yet be enough. 20 waves might take me too far out, just it's waves again, and maybe it's going to take me too far out from the shore. I don't want to drown. I want to float here forever. Don't take me off the tether. Then we go into the little... Explain the Don't Break My Heart soundbite.
Okay, so when I made the song, and I was working on it, I sent it to Amber, my girlfriend, and she was like, this song needs female vocals on it. Because every song that I make, she's like, I can imagine a girl singing on this. And I think it's just the fact that she really likes girl singers. Like, I've just noticed that. But I was like, alright, I'll find a female singer. And so I found, like, free... like a free singing vocal link thing. And it was like, just this girl saying, "Don't break my heart." And I was like, And I was like, that sounds good. So I started sampling it like normally, but it just sounded stupid. So I slowed it down a bunch and made it quiet. So it's like, "Don't break my heart, my heart." Yeah, I thought it sounded cool. So I left that in there, and it was nice.
Right. So, alright, so the format of the lyrics of the song, you'll see this a lot, especially in my older songs. I'm kind of gotten away from it now. You would have seen this in other songs I made before this one, but also in this one, is that I have a tendency to have my first verse be more like lyrical and complex, and the flow is kind of like, all over the place. But then with the second verse, I'm just like way more direct, loud, and the flow is more like normal. Yeah. And you'll hear this in some of my songs, like the song "Open" that I did way back, like a year and a half ago on SoundCloud. And on this one, so like even though the first half of the song was a lot more complex, this one's just very direct. Maybe I'm posing, or maybe I'm chosen. Like maybe I'm maybe I'm putting up a front, or maybe I really am the chosen one. Maybe this ocean is truly frozen, meaning I don't actually have potential to go anywhere. Like maybe there's no future in this. I don't feel movement, but I've traveled far, because like. And this is not true anymore, but at the time, it really felt like, even though I knew that I've like progressed so much in my career, like I can look at what I was doing years ago and look at now, and it's totally different. But I don't really feel the sensation of movement because my growth was so gradual, I don't feel motivated here at the start, just like the idea of not really feeling like anything's taken off makes it feel stagnant. I can't take the steps you advise. I can't take accurate account of life. Just meaning, like, whenever people try to tell me how to live life better, I'm like, I can't do that stuff. I'm here deep off the trench, off the shore. I barely know where I am anymore. You said swim, don't float along forever. I said, please don't take me off the tether. I only truly fear sinking. I can't deal with the thinking. Which is all pretty direct. I'm afraid of sinking. Like, that's the only thing I'm afraid of, is that whatever I try to do will fail, and I will sink, and I will not have, I just won't make it. And I can't deal with thinking about it, because otherwise I'd be fine. If I didn't think about any of this, I could just work and not worry about it, but it's the thinking that makes it a problem, so I can't deal with the thinking. Fades out, gets really sad. So, originally I released this song on SoundCloud, and it was just like, I was drunk and I sang along, and I had this sort of high-pitched voice. I was like, livelihood ain't got much to do with it, which was heavily inspired by Wiki from Rat King. Yeah. Which, like, because I think my rapping sounds best in a high-pitched voice. Like, it's either that or with, like, a Mike Shinoda Linkin Park voice, which I hate. I hate the sound of that. But, like like, I can't rap with, like, a deep voice. It sounds terrible. So I was trying to go for this wiki voice. Neither one of us liked it that much. We were just kind of like, eh. And then I got drunk the next night and decided to record a music video for it, which is on the Modal Soul Productions channel. And I just, like, it's the weirdest version of a live performance. Because what I actually did was wear headphones and just record me singing. And then when I released the video, I just put in the original song with the live vocals over it.
Yeah.
So, like, the version that's on the album, which is Waves at Dawn Live in My Room, comes from this YouTube video. And it's just, I had hooked up an amp, like I had a microphone and an amp on like the couch, and I just recorded myself singing, you know, like practically screaming the lyrics. It's like, livelihood ain't got much to do with it, you know?
Yeah.
And we both agreed it sounded way better than the original take.
I thought the whole aesthetic of it was better.
Yeah, it fit really well, and so that's the version that made it onto the album. And I love the idea of having a live song, like, but it's from the bedroom. It's like live, but in my room, because the whole album's about not leaving your room and sort of being trapped there. So, like, you know, it made sense to have, like, a live song, but from there. And initially, I wasn't sure if I wanted the song to be on the album once we decided to make an album, because it's lyrically not as strong as the other songs. You know, it's definitely weaker lyrically, and it's a different tone from most of the other songs because it's more about the instrumental. But I loved it too much not to put it on, and I thought it would be really cool to have it as a closing track because it has like this long fade in and this long fade out. It kind of feels like a secret track. Like, initially I thought about making it a bonus song or like a secret track. But I love the idea of, like, there's lots of albums that will end with, like, a live version of a song from a previous album or, like, an unreleased demo. Like the album Nothing's Shocking by Jane's Addiction, where, like, it ends with this live version of Pigs in Zen, which had been on their first album, but this is, like, a, you know, cooler live version. Yeah. So I thought it would be neat to have this song that was kind of conceived of before we even thought to make an album, but it's on there with a live version. So that's the story of Waves, and I think the next track is Rotten, right?
That's the next one. Rotten. And, with Rotten, it was like, when I wanted to make it, you had said pretty much just make me a beat. And so the first thing that I thought of was to imitate something from Kendrick Lamar, because he's my favorite. And so I took the Black of the Berry beat thing.
BPM.
No.
Oh.
It's close to the BPM, but I meant, like, jumping back into it. I took the kick and snare thing from Black of the Berry, and then I was like, this sounds awesome. And I made a little bass line for it and sent it to Connor, and Connor liked it a lot.
Yeah, that's right. Initially, no, you didn't send it to me. I was just in your room.
Oh, yeah, that.
And because at the time, after Waves, like, Shade was still making a bunch of songs, but they weren't really beats, and I couldn't really rap on them, and we hadn't really thought up, like, we're gonna do this together yet. But, he was just, like, playing for me, like, a bunch of samples of unfinished tracks, and, like, with that one, it was literally just the bass line. Like, it was just the bass line and the beat, and I was like, this is awesome. I loved it. And it didn't really sound anything like the final product.
No.
The original one sounded very Tyler, the Creator.
I feel like I could take the original version and take everything out, and it would sound different enough that it would sound like a different song.
Right.
And that it would still be, like, awesome, if not on the same level or even better than the full thing, because the beat and bass line was awesome. Yeah, but then I added a bunch of weird crap to it.
Even though I'm not, like, a huge fan of Tyler, the Creator as a rapper, I love his beats and his production, especially on, like, Earl Sweatshirt songs like Whoa and Sasquatch, which, we're both big fans of Doris, right? And, I don't like shit, I don't go outside. So yeah, when you started making it, I was like, oh, cool, like a Tyler, the Creator beat. That's totally my style. I'm sort of like a cringy internet weirdo guy, you know, so it'll work well with me. So you expanded on it, you made it like a full beat, and we were just listening to it in the car, and like Shade was like not convinced that it could be rapped over. You were just like, this is kind of weird. And then I just started rapping Endless Jess's song "The Coolest Guy," and I was just rapping that over the beat as we listened to it on repeat, like on the way to Sonic.
Yeah.
And it sounded perfect. And so that was when I was like, okay, we need to have Jesse guest on this. And as Shade was like finishing up the beat, I thought it would be really cool if Jesse would do like a deep guttural, like growly, scary man voice on it.
It sounds
you know?
amazing with the song.
Yeah, like I was doing like a wanna eat some pussy like kind of voice, you know, and like kind of like Alpha Male Boy or any of the songs. Because at the same time that me and Shade started getting into really producing this album, me and Jesse were also going to do a collab album, which is still in the works, where I was making beats and sending them to him, and he was rapping over them. But my beats are like, listen to the other albums on Trial of the Golden Witch, like A, C, B, C, and CC. That's what my beats sound like, which are usually like me going, and then like modifying it and making it sound horrifying. And Jesse loves those beats because he'll do like weird, insane, you know, deliveries over them. So we were working on that at the same time, and like it was gonna be that we were gonna release these albums at like the same time, but I ended up not making enough beats, and Jesse's been busy with other shit. But so I immediately wanted Jesse on this track, and I told Shade specifically to make the verses exactly the length of the verses from Clint Eastwood. Or the first verse from Clint Eastwood.
Oh yeah, that is what you said.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
Because I've never been able to write long lyrics. Like if you look at all the songs on all the Trial of the Golden Witch albums, they're all short as fuck. Like we've always made really short songs. I've never been able to write a song that's more than like 2 or 3 minutes long at the absolute most. You know, so like all my raps have been super short up to this point. I mean, Waves is one of the longest songs on the album, and it's got like by far the fewest lyrics because it's mostly instrumental, you know.
It's got a lot of instrumental breaks.
But like the actual lyrical part is really short. So yeah, I'd never written a long rap, and so I thought, what's the longest I can imagine myself writing a verse? And it was the length of the first verse in Clint Eastwood by the Gorillaz. And like, so I told Shade, make the verses that long, and so he separated it into 3 verses. And I recorded both the first and like I wrote and recorded the first and third verse like all while drunk in one night, and then I sent it to Jesse. And within 2 hours, he had written and recorded the verse and got it back to me.
Yeah,
that man
was pretty awesome.
Is unbelievable. Like, because I mean, it's one thing that I had done that. Like, you know, I was already ready. I was ready to have this beat. I mean, sure, it's an impressive speed that I wrote and recorded mine at too. But his is better than mine, and he had no idea this was happening. I was just like, hey Jesse, here's a song, write a verse and perform. And before I had time to pass out, he had gotten it back to me. You know.
Yeah.
But to dive into the lyrics of Rotten, so this one is the most like just deranged, depressed, in-your-face, punchy song. This is my favorite song on the album, by the way. Like,
is it?
I mean, it was one of the first, and I've listened to it like hundreds of times at this point. It was Rotten is the first song I've ever, in my life, been a part of that I thought, this is a legitimately great song. Like, the beat is great, the vocals are great, the deliveries are great, the performances are great, the lyrics are great. It's just a great song. Like, I've never made a song before that I didn't have to think, well, I like it because I'm on it. This was the first one where I was like, yeah, I really like this song. I really want to hear it in my car, you know, like, I would listen to it all the time. So, and I just love how, like, passionate and insane it sounds. And, like, because this is a song, Rotten in many ways is, like, the epitome of a song I would write. Because most of my lyrics are about, like, getting into the most deranged part of my mind and, like, you know, presenting myself in the worst way possible. Like, this is the worst side of my life, the part that wouldn't come through in, you know, talking about myself normally, the part that doesn't get the light of day, you know, that, like, that's the kind of stuff I put into music. If you listen to the lyrics on CC, for instance, like, every song is like that. It's all about, like, gross, grimy subject matter. And so that's why this song had to come first, because it's, like, just getting out all of that in one place, you know. So the first part of this, originally when I was writing it, I was trying to go for Earl Sweatshirt, because I thought it sounded like an Earl Sweatshirt beat. So the first lines when it's like, I chase release 16 bottles deep and some weak shit. My peak shit dried out. Like, the way I wrote that was inspired by Earl, but when I delivered it, it's totally Tyler.
Yeah.
Like, it sounds just like Tyler, the Creator, when I say, my peak shit dried out. But yeah, pretty obvious lyrics. I'm 18 bottles deep. But the best part about that is that the reason I'm 18 bottles deep in some weak shit is because it was the Yinglings, which are gross, cheap beer. Because my peak shit, which is my good alcohol, has dried out because I drank it all. Always night out when I look is a totally Earl line, because this was, I was listening to a lot of I don't like shit, I don't go outside when I was writing this. So like, I was just thinking about that album and that feeling of I literally don't leave the house. Always night out when I look, I'm still too lazy to cook, nowhere else open at night, so I stay after that light. Wawa subs, taking that bite. Cigarettes, getting that light. Ate again, driving there twice. I don't like none of they food. Fuck am I supposed to do? No one else awake here, so I stay jacking my dude.
Getting in fights online.
Wasting my fucking time. Trying to fuck with this wine, but now my tolerance is too high. Which is true. My tolerance got so high because I was drinking so much that, like, it takes more and more to get me drunk. Rhymes be coming off time. So that's where it changes up. All that stuff was pretty direct. I go to Wawa every night because nowhere else is open past midnight, So, like, I'm always eating Wawa. And I don't even really like their food that much. It's like, their subs are like, okay. I eat there because they're open. And I'm too lazy to cook. Or to learn how to cook. And, yeah, all that stuff. And then I say, rhymes be coming off time because I was going to change up the flow majorly. I think that was actually a line that was changed. There's a few lines that got altered. So I think I might have already known the flow was going to change before I wrote that. And I also like that line itself is kind of like, there's like an awkward pause, like, rhymes be coming off time, and then it's just like weird and it's off time, Fun fact, this song has a music video, which was made by Jesse. Jess recorded his part, and he told me, like, just send me footage of you losing your shit in your room and singing along, right?
Yeah.
So I just literally, I was really drunk, and I got out my phone camera, and I just held it up, and I, like, ran around the room screaming the lyrics of the song, like, jumping off of everything, like, cracking open a beer and drinking it and rapping to the song. But he said that, like, because I didn't play the song in the background, I was just rapping straight into the phone, and he said, like, my rhymes were so incredibly off time that he had to really fuck with them to make them fit the video at all, which is why, like, early on, I say, like, I chase release, and then, like, it doesn't show me for, like, a good 20 seconds, because I was rapping so off time that he couldn't even fit it to the footage. But it's a great video that was a lot of fun to see happen.
That's good.
So then the next part, wrapping thoughts up in tight little rice balls to eat up and spit out at people passing my house on the sidewalk. Is that how it, wrapping thoughts up in tight little rice balls to eat up and spit out at people
who walk by my house.
Who walk by my house on the sidewalk. Because even at the dead of night, I'll look out the window and I see people walking, like, just walking down the road.
I have no idea what they're doing. I guess they got off the bus, but there's a bus stop down that way. Yeah. I don't know.
You balk at my face, motherfucker, I'm carving your eyes out. You don't know who you're dealing with, I'm a man with this mind out of control. Which is just like, angry shit, some horrorcore lyrics, just because it's like, I'm painting myself as a freak, but also if you look at me like a freak, I'm gonna carve your eyes out,
Like a freak.
Don't know what I'm prone to do at this hour. My skin has gone sour and bruised. I'm rotten through, which is just cool sounding. I'm rotten through. I love that.
Come to on the floor.
In a pile of trash and piss shit stained drawers. I'm a hot mess hoarder, the lord of disorder, calorie absorber, performer, a camcorder, and I'm bored. So this part, Jesse sent me this verse, and immediately I loved it, and I thought it was better than my verse. But it was just like, the more I thought about it, the more I was like, God damn it, he's so much better than me, because Jesse's an amazing rapper. He's been writing raps for a lot longer than I have, and he's a lot better at it. And around this time was when that video came out from Vox of the, like, like the cool rappers
Yeah.
video, where it's like analyzing what makes rap songs great. And like all of it's stuff that I knew, like I knew to do those things like multisyllabic raps and like, you know, changing the flow and ending bars on different lines, and like it's all stuff that I've, you know, played around with. But Jesse does that kind of stuff without thinking about it, you know. He wrote the line a hot mess hoarder, which is like genius in itself, right? Like he's a hoarder, like, because hoarders hoard, like they create mess through hoarding, but he's hoarding a hot mess, which is a hot mess is someone who is just like messed up, you know. If someone's life is in disorder, they're a hot mess. So he's a hot mess hoarder, the lord of disorder, calorie absorber, performer, a camcorder, and I'm bored. That's like three words that are all 3-syllable words that all rhyme together.
Yeah.
And I'm bored. And I was just like, when I thought about that, I was just like, you know, like, how can he rhyme absorber, performer, camcorder, all in the space of one fucking little sentence?
Another symptom to record.
Yeah, and his boredom is another symptom to record. Like, it's something, the fact that, like, because Jesse's makes a lot of meta videos, where, like, the fact that his life is falling apart just becomes the subject of more videos. Like, you know, like, the very thing that's tearing him apart is also what's holding him together. Yeah. So, yeah, like, he's bored, which just means he's gonna film a video about how bored he is. Another symptom to record in the pit. The only hole I fit anymore. Until I stick more whores with my thick pork sword. That's 2 fucking 3-word rhymes. Stick more whores with my thick pork sword. I got ticks on my dick getting sick and engorged. God. I used to... And then the best line possibly on the whole album. I used to dream of how I'd be when I was grown. Picture me with a 6-pack, not the kind that foams.
It's pretty depressing.
Very evocative. Just the idea that as a kid he wanted to have a 6-pack and now he's got a 6-pack. Now
a beer belly, getting rid of the other 6-pack.
Yeah. Now I live alone, never shower. I live in squalor, blocking out the sun so I never know the day or hour. And my teeth all yellow, gums receding, gingivitis cut myself eating, now I'm bleeding while I'm beating up the mic. And I take another bite of the burger that I dropped in the trash last night. Now, bear in mind that when I sent this to Jess, like, when Jesse, you know, did his rap, I had already done both of my verses and sent it to him. So a lot of his lyrics are based on mine, where at the very end of mine, I say, I'm grown, I'm grown, I'm grown, I'm grown, I'm grown. And that's why he said, I used to dream of how I'd be when I was grown. Picture me with a 6-pack. And then, because my first line is fast food on my motherfucking breath, he put in the, you know, burger that I dropped in the trash last night. So, without even me asking him to, he made all his lyrics flow into mine. In the second verse, even though the second verse was written before his verse. But yeah, so fast food, again, just like with Waves, this is a song that gets way more intense and direct in the second half. Fast food on my motherfucking breath, wine spilled on my motherfucking chest. I'm drunker than my rhymes are good, my wordplay's bored, I'm torn between asinine and scorn, which is just... Before Jesse even sent my verse, like, I was upset with myself, like, after writing the first verse, that there's no real wordplay. There's, like, the rhymes are so simple, where it's like, you know, light, bite, you know, twice, like, all 1-syllable rhymes, all, like, very simple rhyme schemes. Like, I consider myself to be really good at flow and delivery, but I think I'm pretty bad at, like, actual clever wordplay, you know? That's always been sort of my weakest suit. So that's why I say my wordplay's bored. And I do like the idea that it's like play and bored. Like, it's supposed to be wordplay, but it's bored instead of playing, you know? So it is kind of a good wordplay in itself.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Hey.
But yeah. I'm drunker than my rhymes are good. So... yeah, my wordplay's bored. I'm torn between asinine and scorn, where it's like I can't tell if my lyrics are just asinine bullshit that no one cares about, or if I'm really scorned and angry about this stuff. I'm fine from 4 till dawn, but wrong from 6 p.m. till 1, which is my way of saying, like, from 4 a.m. to, from 4 a.m. to dawn, I'm, like, perfect. I can really make stuff. I feel creative and great. But from 6 p.m. to 1... I feel totally like I'm just not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, those are the hours... Because at the time, I was usually waking up at 6 p.m. And then passing out at dawn. And at 6 p.m. is, like, everyone's around, we're all doing, like, you know, hanging out with the family, talking about shit, and, like, I would never get anything done during those hours, my least productive time of day, so I felt wronged by whatever was going on around me. I'm no fun, nobody cares what I've become, or what I have done. Oh. I'm no shit, hold on.
I don't know, don't look at me.
6 p.m. to 1. I'm no fun and nobody cares what I've become or how I've run. So far from the sun, my body is fucking falling apart. So that was just like saying, like, even, like, no matter what I've done, no one really gives a fuck. None of my friends really care about, like, the fact that I've just receded into my room and become a horrible, terrible person who has not seen the light of the sun. My body's fucking falling apart. And I also use the theme of the sun a lot because of the lyrics to the song, what's it called? Get Out by Circa Survive, where he sings the lyric, locked myself up in a room without a window just to see if it was any easier to breathe. I was wrong, never underestimate the daylight, there it's so much easier to breathe. And I always, like, I've loved that song forever, and so I always say that, like, escaping from the daylight is, like, you think it'll help you, but it doesn't, and it tears you apart, you know? Fat and gross and weird and fucked up. My beard looks like a rapist, which at the time I had the long beard. Yeah. My shape is amorphous, which is a decent rhyme. I don't know what I enjoy. There must be, please, I hope, a point to all this, which is just, I'm at the point where I literally don't even know if I enjoy what I'm doing. I don't know what I enjoy. I don't know what's fun to me anymore. I'm just doing stuff because I have to. I don't know who I am anymore, you know?
Tear it down!
There must be, please, I hope, a point to all this. Somewhere along the line, when looking at the time stopped meaning anything, my mental state became in constant flux. I've got $6,000 and don't know what I want to own. I'm grown, I'm grown, I'm grown, I'm grown, I'm grown. Which I did at the time have $6,000 to my name. And, like, I felt like I just didn't know what that money was for. I was like, you know, the idea of having $6,000 was the most money I'd ever had. And it's like, you know, what am I going to use this for? Like, who even am I? If I keep buying more equipment, is that going to make me happier? If I buy stuff, is that going to make me happier? What can I possibly spend this money on that's going to make my life better than it currently is? I don't know. I don't know what I want to own. I'm grown. I'm grown. I'm grown. I'm grown. I'm grown. And then the beat rides out, and it sounds great.
Grown.
So for a long time, yeah, that was the first real song we did, and the next one after that was pretty soon after, which is I'm Mortal. Which Shade just dropped that beat on SoundCloud, and I ripped it and recorded over it.
That's not how it went.
It's not?
Nope, because I had made a preview for you, and I sent it to you over Discord, which is the first song I actually sent to you over Discord, I think.
Okay.
And you were like, it sounds good. And then in a couple hours, it showed up on SoundCloud, and I was like,
oh.
I was like, that song wasn't done.
I didn't know that.
I thought I told you that, like, a couple days afterwards.
I'm Mortal, depending on how I feel when I listen to the song, I either really like it, or, like, okay, if you don't pay attention when you're listening to the song, I think it falls apart. Because the beat is weird. Like, the different parts of the beat sound like totally different from each other, and my vocals also sound totally different from that.
Yeah.
If you're paying attention to it, it's fine. Like, you can just kind of get all the parts, and it's like, okay, it's kind of neat. It's really weird, but it's neat. If you stop paying attention and have it on the background, all of it separates, and it just starts to sound horrifying.
Yeah. So that song is the only song I've gotten, like, criticism that I've noticed about it.
Yeah. From
one particular commenter on YouTube who I'm not mad at. I'm not mad at all. I'm not. But our friend Trevor, who plays the bass, was like, the bass line wasn't very good on that song, and I was like, all right. I mean, I could have
my nose apart.
I could have done better on it, and I actually did try to a little bit afterwards because I was like, let me do some stuff to the song. So I asked Connor to send me his lyrics, and then I did some other stuff, but then he wasn't really feeling it.
Yeah, I liked the original, because I was used to it already. So, this song, I remember when you sent it to me, my first impression was that it reminded me of Chrono Trigger.
Yeah.
and just the boo, boo, boo,
Oh.
boo,
I have another... That was the Metroid thing.
It sounds almost just like it, right?
It's a lot like the Metroid thing. But, yeah, that main noise is actually... When I was doing Rotten, I was like, I need a weird noise to be in the background that is, like, quiet enough that nobody can really hear it, but it'll make a difference. And that's, like... There's these little chords that are playing that are, like... It's, like, 2 keys, but a little bit off time, so that it sounds like... Woo!
Yeah.
And so I was like, that sounded awesome, so I wanted to make a whole song out of it, and that's what Immortal was.
Yeah, and when I heard it, I thought about... This song was very much born out of, like, a direct train of thought. It went like this. I was laying in bed listening to the song, and it got me thinking about Chrono Trigger. And then I was thinking about how, in all those video games, then they always, like, save the world from some great evil. But I'm like... But then, like, because, okay, the problem with some great evil that's going to destroy the world is that everyone will die, right?
Yeah.
But everyone dies anyways. You're really just changing when and how they die. If you save the world from some great evil, but then you just die 20 years later, then you still ultimately you die. Like, the ultimate ending is always just you die, right? And I found that deeply upsetting. I think we should stop this clip and start another one. So anyways, yeah, I was, like, thinking about how even though you save the world, everyone dies anyways. And, like, then I thought about it and I was like, well, that's also true of just the real world, right? Like, you know, we stop Hitler, but then everyone dies anyways. So, like, no matter how much you do to try to save the world, none of it really changes the big picture unless we reach the singularity, where death stops being a thing. You know, like, assumably, our ultimate goal is to get ourselves into computers or whatever it takes to make it so we don't have to die. That just seems to me like, what else do I care about other than not dying, you know? So this song's sort of about the pressing thought that we live in a time where the singularity is supposedly right around the corner.
Yeah.
But what if we don't make it, you know? And that's sort of the subject. So it goes, I would love to save the world, but I know everything dies. We know the cycle never ends, but we continue to try. And that's because, like, I thought about how in, like, Chrono Trigger and a lot of those stories, it's a cycle. Like, every 1,000 years, the bad guy comes back. So even though the bad guy always comes back 1,000 years later, and we know that cycle's never going to end, we still fight him, you know, to save ourselves. If I miss the singularity within my life, I'm fucked, getting cucked by the universe. Which, I just love that line. And originally I thought about naming the song Cucked by the Universe, but I just thought...
That would have been a little cheesy.
Yeah. But the reason for that is just, like, I think that, you know, what greater cucking could there be than living in an era where the singularity is about to happen and then dying before it happens? That would be the ultimate cuck, you know?
Yeah.
What if I pull a sing about me and get shot by the end of the verse? So this is our first direct reference, which is to Kendrick Lamar's song Sing About Me. Which, if you haven't heard that song, it's from Good Kid, Mad City, phenomenal song and album. Basically, Kendrick's rapping in the character of someone writing him a letter. And the guy says, like, and if I get gunned down before this verse, then, and then you just hear 3 gunshots and the rap just stops. And it's like the most, like, tragic moment in musical history. It's horrifying. Like, every time I hear it, my heart just fucking sinks.
Promise that you will
Sing about me. Promise that you will sing about me. So yeah. So what if I pull a sing about me and get shot by the end of the verse? Because I've always had this long-standing fear that I'm going to die for no reason. You know, like, I've always felt... I used to, for whatever reason, for years... When I was younger, I really thought I was going to die in my 40s because I would get caught up in a gang shooting. Not that I would be a part of it, just that I'd be walking down the road and it would happen around me and I'd get killed.
I love how specifically when you're like 40. Like,
yeah,
so
it was 44
in.
was my estimate.
44?
When I'm 44, I'll get caught in a gang shooting and die. That was my predicted method of my death. I don't really feel it that strongly anymore, but I was pretty sure of it for a while. But anyways... The real curse is not knowing, yet feeling the need for a goal towards which to continue growing and never slowing even when it hurts. Because, like, that's the thing. you keep working throughout your life towards a goal that you're like, that's long term, right? Like, I eventually want to be this successful and have this much of a career and have this much money, and here's what I'll be doing in 10 years, here's what I'll be doing in 20 years. But at any point in the middle of that, I could just get shot and die, you know? And the curse is not knowing if that's going to happen. Like, am I putting all this effort in for no fucking reason, all this effort into surviving, when I could just be sitting around, you know, jacking off and doing nothing?
Yeah, man, yeah!
Now, I'm reimbursed for my effort with a fat coin purse, but the years I've burned past I can't reverse. All the hoops I jumped through to avoid the hearse make the thought that I'm wasting my time so much worse. Because, you know, as a human, we do a lot to try to keep ourselves alive, and I've always had a problem with, like, people who are always worried about adding that extra 10 years onto their life to such an extent that they actually aren't living their current time. You know, like, okay, if someone's way into health food and, like, fitness and just always being healthy, like, it's one thing if you find all that fun and if that's what you like to do. But, like, if you're doing that because you're like, oh, I want to live past 60, you know? And I'm like, yeah, but right now your life is boring as shit. So you're just wasting your current time when you don't know if you're even going to make it to 60 anyway, because you might get in a car accident and die, you know? So why bother, like, trying to prolong your later life if you might just die at some random point anyways? Why not just enjoy your current life, you know? So, like, all the hoops I've jumped through to avoid the hearse, which obviously is a car that transports dead bodies. I don't know if you knew that.
I didn't.
A hearse is the...
I didn't know that.
When they load a coffin into the car, that's a hearse. It's a coffin car.
See, I never knew that. I always thought it sounded like you said hearth, and I was like, hearth? Home?
No.
Avoid the home?
All the hoops I jumped through to avoid the hearse.
Like
which
old
is
people?
a car that drives away dead bodies. So yeah, anyway. And what's worse than that? Knowing that I'm dying even as I rap. I get immersed to avoid the facts. Mortality. I just can't admit to that. So, like,
repeat it.
What I mean by immersed is, like, getting into, like, anime and bullshit and games and, like, trying to do anything to take my mind off of the idea that I might die. Because I just can't admit to the idea that I'm mortal. And that's the first song that has a hook. It's only repeated once, but that's the first hook that I've written in a rap song, really. Like, and it's pretty good. So then picks up again. The final boss of our lives is death itself. This is another song where the second half is a lot more direct and punchy.
Yeah.
The final boss of our lives is death itself. Fighting temporary threats only barely helps. This is once again about the idea that, like, you know, I feel like a lot of people get so obsessed with, like, we have to stop, you know, child hunger in Uganda. And I'm like, no, we have to stop death. If we can stop death, then we've won, you know? The final boss is death. Fighting all these temporary threats is just like one little blip on the radar, because if a meteor crashes into Earth tomorrow, then all the other little bullshit we're doing doesn't matter. We should be setting up for the biggest stuff, the big final bosses, you know? If we can't pull the ghost from the shell, we won't survive, which is a Ghost in the Shell reference. In the series Ghost in the Shell, for those who don't know, everyone has robot bodies and, like, the internet, and, like, you can kind of separate your consciousness into the internet. And so your consciousness is referred to as your ghost, whereas your shell is the body that your ghost is inhabiting. So, you know, Motoko Kusanagi, the main character, is someone who her entire body is a cyborg. Only her cyber brain still contains the element of her soul, or whatever. So if we can't get our souls out of our body and into computers, we won't survive, and we've only got so much time. I put my lime... This is the part where I kind of give up and resign to the idea that I'm mortal. I put my lime in my coconut so I can chill. For those who don't know the old song, you put the lime in the coconut and drink them both together. Put the lime in the coconut and you'll feel better. So yeah. I put my lime in my coconut so I can chill, pretending this ain't real, just so I can deal. If the world ends with me, then at least I made it. I'll watch the sky burn from the backyard, faded. So, like, the lime in the coconut is meant to imply that it's, like, even though I'm saying that line, I really mean alcohol. You know, I'm mixing a drink, sitting on the back porch, and watching the sky burn. Because, you know, even if I do die, at least I made it to the end of the world. Fuck it. I get to watch the sky burn and have a drink and have fun. And we made the music video for that one, which I have a fucking 40 that I'm carrying around and the whole thing. Pretty delightful. So... for a really long time, those were the only two songs we had out. Like,
Yeah.
there was a huge gap between Rotten and I'm Mortal and the rest, and I think it was pretty much after I'm Mortal that I decided this should become an album. Like, it was around then that I was like, let's make a whole album worth of songs, and I immediately wanted it to be 10 tracks, just because that's a cool length for a first album, I think, you know?
What was the first song after that? The next song?
I want to say it was Bedrock was the next one that came out.
Alright.
So
yeah, it was a pretty big gap.
Yeah, there was a huge gap there, but in the middle of that gap, I think is when I wrote Get Action.
Yes.
So
you had wrote Get Action very soon after I'm Mortal, and then you wanted me to make a beat for it. But you had all these demands.
Yes.
And you wanted it to be a little bit longer, a little bit more complex.
So, alright, we'll talk about Get Action next, because it's kind of the next in production order. So, Get Action was by far the longest production cycle out of any of the songs. Most of these are like, Shade made the beat in a day, I made the rap in a day. Good, you know? Get Action
It was a couple months.
Get Action was inspired by, it was partly that Vox video and the realization that Jesse had so upstaged me in my song. And I was like, I really want to write a rap that's more complex, that has more, like, you know, multisyllabic rhymes and stuff, and in a really crazy flow. The other big inspiration was Eminem's Rap God. I was just, like, listening to Eminem songs on YouTube, and I was watching a lyric video for Rap God. The lyrics of Rap God are fucking terrible. The song... Okay, Rap God is a 6-minute song from Eminem that's very popular, very famous for the fact that he raps really fast and he has the craziest flow ever, right? His flow keeps changing right in the middle of verses and stuff, and it's all over the place. And it sounds great, but the lyrics are total nonsense most of the time. And I mean, the song's about that. It's about him just, like, flexing nuts and doing whatever he wants. But there's parts where it's just like, whackity sack, the clack, clack, slapping the back, I'm Eminem, yeah! You know, like, what the fuck is this? Because I know Eminem can write super technical songs with really meaningful lyrics, like Way I Am, where the whole thing's in iambic pentameter and it sounds awesome. So I was really mad. I was like, I want to write something that's like this. Like, I want to duplicate, like, this complex flow, fast rhymes, and you know, changing it up all the time, but have it mean something. So I was kind of like, this song is going to be my answer to Rap God. And it was about something that I was very pissed off about at the time, which is people who talk a big game and don't do shit. I know a lot of people like this. I know some people who were like this at the time of the album and got better. Well, you now have a fully released album. So.
Yeah. It took a little bit longer than anticipated.
The funniest thing about Get Action is that when I initially wrote the verse, I I recorded just a vocals only version, and I played it for a lot of people, and almost everyone I played it for asked, "Is this song about me?"
Yeah.
You asked it, Victor asked it, some other people online asked it. Some of them it was about, but I won't say who. But a lot of them got better. But, like, the song was just about just this idea of people who constantly are saying, like, yeah, I'm gonna, make this project, I'm gonna put in all this work, but then they don't do it. They just sit around and talk about it and don't do it. Or just, like, they just want to buddy around and not really, like, work on anything. And, like, I have this feeling, like, people act like I don't know what I'm doing, even though I'm like, there's a reason I have what I have. It's because I work at it all the time, And so that's kind of the inspiration behind this song, was all those factors. And this is the song that I spent, like, the most time writing. I think I spent several days hashing it out and, like, really carefully choosing my words and then, like, breaking up this rhyme scheme. So when I wrote it, I told Shade, like, I want a song that's, like, a club song, but it's also hype, and I want it to sound kind of like Rap God, and I want this and that. And Shade was just like, because up until this point, all the beats were just stuff Shade made. None of it was, like, my request. All of it was just stuff he made and liked, and so this one was the first one where it's like he had to meet demands, and it took a while.
I mean, I made the first part of the song really fast, and you were enjoying it, and I was just
well, that wasn't even the first attempt. Because you made, like, the entire White Nigga beat was made as a Get Action beat. You sent it to me, and I said it was too slow.
Yeah, but it only, like, I made that beat in, like, 30 minutes, and then made it more later. And then I made the first part for Get Action in the next like 2 hours.
Okay.
So it was like,
but we were working closely. There's a lot of fun stuff in there. There's in the beat, like, because the song Get Action, the title actually comes from the title of a song by the Delgados called Get Action, which is a totally different tone of song, but it's really cool and fun, and I love it. And it's a song about this guy who, like, the lyrics, like the first lyrics, he says, "No one ever said to me that I should write a symphony, but write it, now I've wrote it, and the days are growing longer." And, like, the whole song is basically about him, like, accomplishing all these great things that no one really ever said he should or could do, and no one really acknowledges now that he's done it, but fuck it, I did it, you know? And that's sort of what it's about. And I've always loved that song to death as an artistic person who just does whatever the fuck I want.
And so, that's the song that I sampled, right?
Yeah, I told Shade, like, why don't you pull a sample from this song? And it's funny, because there's, like, lots of parts that I thought sounded like great samples that are, like, a couple second clips, you know, like little guitar riffs and stuff. Shade goes and gets, like, the tiniest, like, fraction of a word of him, like, saying, no, and, like, that's it.
No,
and then
it was him saying symphony.
Oh.
And, like, he's at the end he says symphony, like, symphony, kind of.
Symphony. And then symphony.
Like, I took the like, part of it, and it's going,
yeah. That part of the beat, that's, that's
yeah,
neat,
that's him saying symphony. Something like that.
That's the sample Shade got out of that entire song.
And then even better, there's another sample. The little is the skeleton toot meme.
Oh yeah! The little meme of the skeleton with the horn going burp, and it's like just a 2-second video. The entire that's like the core of the song is built from that. And like Shade, because he took it and we were like, there's no way. And then he like modified it with like 2 things and it sounded amazing. And we were like, oh my god.
He said, I want something sort of obnoxious.
Yeah.
And it would sound kind of generic. And I was like, well, I'm thinking of a horn. Because a lot of like more recent pop songs are using like horns and stuff to get this sort of obnoxious sound that sounds pretty good. And I was like, I think I had picked up a horn sound from FL Studios, and he was like, that's kind of weird. And then I was like, you know what's actually obnoxious? The meme. And so I took that, and I thought it sounded great.
Is there any other interesting stuff in that beat?
Well, there's a couple of noises that are like hard to hear, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah, like it was just kind of trying to make a like generic club banger. And then I also had, because the flow has like so many weird interruptions in place where it like oversteps the boundaries of the lines, then I had to have Shade do lots of like weird dips in the beat that are like, because if you listen to it, that my verse has like parts where it just totally oversteps the boundaries and sounds weird as fuck. So the beat is like off time in weird ways because it has to like reset itself because of my vocals, which is something that happens in Rap God as well. So that's why I wanted to do that.
There's also the Endless Jest sample that you added in.
Yeah.
And then
Yada Yada Does, eh? That's in there too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Yada Yada Does is in there, which is...
Yeah. Because when I said...
Just from a random JoJo
When I did that, to put words on the screen, like, there's no way I could switch it without taking a breath. So I was like, you have to put something here and, like, stop it and change it up so that there's a moment of rest and I can take a breath. And so that's why we put in the little stop. And then we put in a clip from JoJo with, I think, Season 2, right? Or no.
Yeah, it's part 2. It's Joseph saying Yada Yada Does to some, like, some vampire... And like you can kind of hear the vampire in the background going like, ooh!
Even though it's not known for him, right? That's not his thing.
It's known that Jotaro says that, but Joseph said it first.
Yes, and Shade is a much bigger fan of Joseph than Jotaro, so that's why...
No, it was really just that I couldn't find a good sample of Jotaro saying it.
Oh,
I could have gone through like a whole episode and taken one from it, but that would have been a lot of work.
But yeah, so we put in the Yada Yada Does, and then I threw in... well, okay, so we had the whole first verse done, and then there was the chorus, and the problem was we couldn't figure out what to do for the chorus. Like, Shade had no good idea of how to make it more intense, because it's like a way more intense, delivery on my part. So you put in this, like, just wall of noise, and I'm still not completely satisfied with that, but because we never had another great idea, then...
I had tried, like, 6 or 7 different things that I deleted them all because I didn't like them. One of them I actually showed to Conrad, but then he was like, it's too different, and then you said you wanted it as another beat, but I just deleted that too.
So, yeah, like, that beat did not get finished for, like, 5 months or something. Like, it sat around forever because... and, like, the thing is that my rap for that is, like, my favorite rap ever. And I'd been practicing it just all day, every day. Like, for months, I would just sit around, you know, fake niggas are looking at me like I don't know what I'm doing. When I've been Poland, salary for creativity since 2013, and me, when you see me, what do you think of that guy? You're crazy, he doesn't count. And I'm like, I'm way used to doing it faster, you know? I'll be the first to admit, I've had some privileges, but I'm thinking all these kids, that's like I hate that shit when I built this all in a cave with a box of scraps with a self-taught rap artist, writer, YouTube content generator, and haters can say what they want, but creators, if you would think the papers for me to get out, I'll just sit on the toilet rapping that all day. And at the same time, White Nigga, because that beat came out around the same time, and I wrote those lyrics around the same time, and I would rap that one to myself as well. Different reasons that one didn't come out for a long time, but we'll get into that in a second. So with Get Action, I had recorded just the vocals, not to the beat or anything. I just recorded them to show to my friends, because I was so happy with this verse, and I knew that the PCP members would all be big fans of it, because we all feel this way about, like, people who are, you know, who are, like, newbie artists and stuff. So I sent it to them. Devu was obsessed with it. He listened to it all the time. He still listens to it all the time now that the finished version's out. But Jesse immediately wrote his own verse and sent it to me. And his originally started with the excuses, you do this, you know, like that part. But it was a totally different flow, and he didn't know what the beat was going to sound like. So it was like the way he had originally written it just did not fit the beat at all. And it went all the way up through when he says, put in the work and get some fucking dirt on your hands. Like, that, everything from excuses through dirt on your hands was the original verse that he had for the song. And so I told Shade, like, you know, after you do the chorus, then write have a beat change, and then we'll have Jesse come in. So Shade did that, and then he just, like, had that beat write out for, like, 4 minutes, because he was like, I don't know how long you want this to be, so here's a shitload of beat. So I'm like, cool, I'm gonna deliver my verse, send it to Jesse, he can do his verse, and then I can figure out if I want to do another verse, or we can cut it short to fit Jesse. Now, I was afraid, and this is exactly what happened, that if I gave Jesse 3 minutes of space, he was going to occupy all 3 minutes of space. That's exactly what he did. Because whereas I try to cut all my raps as short as possible, Jesse wants them to be as long as possible. He'll write a rap he will always write it to be as long as the beat is, you know, or repeat the beat. All the beats that I sent him, he always plays them twice, because he has too much to say to fit it into how much I send. Because my beats will be like 40 seconds, and he'll extend them. So I sent him the beat, and he said that because the flow didn't match the beat at all, he was going to write in, like, you know, some other stuff to catch up to it, and then some other stuff to follow up from it, and he ended up filling out the entire rest of the song. But that was all, like, Get Action ended up being the last song finished for the album, or one of the last songs, because it took so long for the beat to finish, and then it took me a while to get Jesse's verse, because he was preparing for RadCon and doing all this other shit. So, like, it wasn't until he actually came to my house that I had the beat in hand, you know, or his verse in hand, and was able to sync it to the beat. And then we released it, like, right with the album, pretty much. So, was the phone just doing something weird? I couldn't tell.
I don't think so.
Anyways, so yeah, to get into the lyrics, my verse, it's fairly direct, but there's some fun stuff in there. So, it goes, fake niggas all looking at me like I don't know what I'm doing, when I've been pulling salary for creativity since 2013, and I mean, when you see me, what do you think? That guy's just crazy, he doesn't count, he's an outlier, anomaly, surely got lucky somehow. So yeah, I became a full-time career creative in 2013. Like, I left my job at Target and became a YouTuber in 2013. So for 3 fucking years, not only have I been making stuff, I've been making stuff that's good enough to be my sole source of income, you know? So anytime someone looks at me like they don't think I know, like, what makes a good video or good product or anything, or don't know what, like, look at you. You look like a fucking yaoi character. Why does your head look so small now? Your arms look huge and your head looks tiny. That was really bizarre. Anyways, yeah, like people look at me like I don't know what I'm doing, even though this has been my job for 3 years, you know. And people say things like, because definitely there's this perspective that people who want to be creative but aren't putting in the work will find every excuse that they're failing while you're succeeding, right?
Yeah.
If you're succeeding, it's because you're luckier. You have more privileges. You've got more advantages. You know, like, of course you can do it because you're special. You're an outlier. You got lucky, you know?
A good example of somebody who wasn't lucky and started a YouTube channel and is now pretty successful and is loved by a lot, MKBHD, or Marquise Brownlee.
Is he from nothing?
Pretty much. He said he started his videos when he was like 15, and he was, the way he started it was just like he bought a laptop, and
he
it was,
reviewed the
yeah,
laptop.
it was a pretty bad laptop, and he said he made like 100 videos on just like the laptop and a couple technology around the house. And he's blown up from there.
Well, even better example, Endless Jess. And like
That
the reason I wanted Jesse on this song is that Jesse takes huge umbrage with anyone ever implying that he is privileged. Because like, you know, people will say that like, oh, well, you're a white male, you're automatically privileged. Jesse has had the shittiest life ever. Like Jesse's been poor his whole life. You know, lived with his parents because they can't sustain themselves, much less him sustaining himself. You know, everyone in his family's fucked up, and he lives in fucking outside Flint, Michigan, which is the shittiest place in America to live. There's literally lead in the water, and everyone's gone crazy. So he's in like the shittiest situation ever, but he still manages to be unbelievably creative, to be, you know, like, he's not as successful as me, but that is his job, is to be creative as well, you know. So like, even though, as I say in the next line, you know, I'll be the first to admit I've had some privileges, but I'm seeing all these kids acting like I ain't done shit when I built this all in a cave with a box of scraps, which is a reference to Iron Man when he says, you know, Tony Stark did this in a cave with a box of scraps, with the implication being that I'm successful not because I have it easy, but because I'm a fucking genius, you know? Like, that's why Tony Stark is someone who had tons and tons of privilege, but when he's locked in a cave with no one around, you know, like when he's trapped with nothing, he can still build an Iron Man suit because he's just that fucking good, you know?
That dude built a Hadron Collider in his house because he needed to power his technology heart.
Yeah.
That dude is insane.
So, like, yeah, sure, I am privileged. I have had privileges. But if you act like that's why I'm successful and not because I know what I'm doing and I'm good, then, you know, you're making excuses for yourself, you know? I'm a self-taught rap artist, writer, YouTube content generator, and haters can say what you want, but creatives, if you ain't taking pages from me, then get out. Because, like, you know, haters don't understand. They don't give a fuck. They're just hating you. But if you're a creative person and you look at someone like me who's successful and you think, well, he's just lucky, I'm not going to try to imitate him. Imitate me. It's the work that's making me successful, you know. And then that's like a major, like, overstepping the boundaries of the line. Like when I say, when you ain't taking pages from me, then get out. And I sound all like strained and then the beat just kind of resets weirdly. I'm sick of all these cop-outs talking about, when I'm out of school, I'll do shit. Bullshit. Like your heroes ain't drop out. But I want to have a future. Bitch, if you good, you got one. If you not one of these tall, big, ain't do shit dweebs and load screens 13 hours a week, but too meek to put words on a screen. So, like, I have always idolized people who dropped out of school and just went for their careers. Like, for me, like, my biggest inspirations were guys like, Ryohei Kitamura, the director of Versus, who, like, when he was 16, just stood up in the middle of class and was like, I'm gonna go become a film director, and left, you know? Now, albeit, he did manage to, like, he went to film school afterwards in Australia for, like, a couple years, but, like, even then, he said he barely did shit in school, and he was mostly just worried about trying to make movies. Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez always going on and on and on about how, like, if you want to be a director, you just got to make shit. You know, you don't got to go to school. You don't got to learn the stuff. Just get out there and make things, you know? And I've always been a huge proponent of that. Nothing I learned how to do, I learned from school. I did not learn how to rap from school. I did not learn how to make videos in school. It's stuff I taught myself, and because I was passionate about it and wouldn't stop doing it, then now I am successful at it, you know? And so, anytime someone's like, you know, I want to make YouTube videos and be passionate about it, but I got to finish this semester, and I don't know what I'm going to do after finals. And I'm like, if you're passionate about making YouTube videos, you got to make YouTube videos. You know, you can't go to, like, if that's what you want to do with your life, then going to school is not going to help you do that. Going to school is what you do for a fallback, you know? Everyone who works creatively and goes to do something else that's not creative, they're doing it because they want to have opportunities. They're like, well, if I don't go to school, how am I going to get a normal job? And I'm like, you don't want a normal job. You want a creative job. If you want a creative job, you have to work at your creativity. You can't get good without working at it, you know? So, so then I was like saying about the kids who are too meek to put words on a screen, but they spend 13 hours a week in load screens. People who just play video games all day, you know, like, oh, well, I go to school, but then somehow you have time for 80 hours of Overwatch, but not enough time to make your creative projects? Seems kind of sus to me, bro, you know? So, yeah.
Or perhaps 100 hours in Overwatch.
So, but, you know, kids always say, but I want to have a future. And I'm like, if you're good at your creativity, then you have a future, because you have a future in your creative endeavor, you know? Then we get into, call me back when you get those 10,000 hours sleeping in a casket. Because 10,000 hours is a reference to the book Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, where he posits that most of the people who are super successful and masterful at what they do are that way because they found themselves in a situation where they were able to practice for an obscene amount of time. Bill Gates happened to, like, live next to a college where he could go in there and, like, use their computers, and he learned programming because he would just go in and program all day. And the Beatles, like, grinded away, and they were playing in this, like a place where they were just like a band for a bar kind of thing, and they would just play all different kinds of music, and they played every night for hours. And so he was positing that it takes about 10,000 hours to master a craft. So if you practice for 10,000 hours at something, you'll eventually become a master of it. And 10,000 hours equates to, like, you know, 8 hours a day for 5 years or something like that, or maybe 10 years. It's a fuckload of time. You know, it's a long, long time of practice. But, like, I've always seen it as, like, if you want to master something, you gotta put in your 10,000 hours. So I'm like, call me back when you get your 10,000 hours sleeping in a casket, because you ain't grabbed shit, and your time is passing, while these young niggas racing right past you. Chance, 19 when he made 10 Day. Chance the Rapper was 19 when he made 10 Day, got super famous off of that album. Wiki93 called that for a reason. Now, I'm actually not sure if Wiki93 is called that because he's born in 93, because I actually think he's younger than that. His first album's called Wiki93. I'm not sure why. So it is called that for a reason, but I'm not sure what the reason is because I think he's younger than that. But
maybe it was like a football number.
I don't know, but because he was only like 19 when the next album came out, which is So It Goes, which is one of my favorite albums of all time. You know, Wiki and Hawk were literally, Wiki had just graduated high school and Hawk had just dropped out of high school to join Rat King, and that's when they made their album, which is, you know, fairly well acclaimed and one of my favorites. Dude's younger than me, you know, both of them are younger than me. Chance is like my age or younger, I think.
I think he's Victor's age.
Yeah, I think he's Victor's age. You know, Milo's my age. Kendrick's like 1 year older than me, 2 years older than me, something like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, these young niggas racing right past you while you're, you know, sitting around in a casket because you ain't grab shit.
Shade 18 when he made Bedrock.
Yeah. But I'll start next season. Bitch, if you don't start now, then you'll never be beastin'. Yeah, that one's pretty obvious. But the specifically the wording beastin', I kind of got from Del the Funky Homo Sapien on his album, God, what's that album called? Whatever his most recent one is, with all the super grimy beats. He says, like, you know I'm beastin' in one song. And that's like, I used almost the same delivery of the word beastin' in mine. I'm feasting on y'all corpses. Y'all flaccid rat. Don't come to me to endorse it. Okay. Oh, it was just saving a video and starting the next one for us. So that's what that means. So people come to me all the time to try to endorse their shit, right? People will always like send me, they're like, oh man, check out this video I made, check out this song I made, and like they want validation. They're like, isn't this thing I made cool? And I'm like, if your stuff was that good, you don't need me to promote it. You know, if your stuff is really good, I will want to promote it. And so, like, it really kind of pisses me off when people are, like, upset that I'm not giving them, like, a free ride. When I'm like, I didn't have a free ride. I just put my stuff out there and people loved it, you know? I posted it on Reddit. I posted it on Twitter. People liked it. They shared it. That's how I got famous. If you need me to promote your shit, then you're not trying hard enough, you know? Don't come to me to endorse it. Because even though I'm all about sharing that meat with my hungry niggas who need to eat it, you know, I love promoting people. I love promoting people who need the attention. But if y'all ain't pulling that weight, then your greedy ass will be used for feeding. You are the meat that I'm feeding to my hungry niggas, you know. There's a reason when you see me, I'm surrounded by talent. Because I got a mallet to whack-a-mole those who ain't up to the challenge. If you want validation, your creation had better impress. Because I got no patience to test, and I only roll with the best. Which, of course, is the procrastinators. Time to get action. Put your fucking life on the line. Because if you don't, the starving artist gonna eat you alive. You must get action. If you're wasting your fucking time, you can bet your fucking ass that I ain't giving you mine. You must get action. Which is just a fucking awesome chorus. Best chorus I ever wrote. The idea of the starving artist eating you alive. Because, like, people's image of the starving artist is, like, a weak, you know, like, oh, I'm dying, I need someone to help, give me some money, please. And it's like, nah, the starving artist is gonna eat you if you're not working hard enough, you know? If you're wasting your time, I'm not giving you mine. So then we get into Jesse's verse, and I put in the endless Jess to lead into his, I don't know how well it works, but I like it. Endless Jess. And then Jesse's verse, I don't have it memorized because this song is too new. But his is just a vicious beatdown of people who don't put in the work, you know. What the hell is writer's block? I never had it. Sounds like an excuse for you hacks who can't hack it. Jesse, even more than me, can't stand people who act like things are supposed to come to them, you know, because Jesse is constantly making shit. He never is not making something. Any success he has, it's because he won't stop, he can't stop, and it's just a part of who he is, you know. And in the song, he calls out the weekend weirdos and fairweather freaks, the people who, you know, want to be artists, want to be out there, but they're not really. They're just doing it as like a pastime or because it's fun. But he's like, you know, people who run back to normalcy as soon as they see how much work goes into fun. Like, that's who he's calling out. Like, if you're an artist, it's a part of you. It's just who you are. It's what you have to do. He's like, I don't do this because I think it'll be fun or because I think it'll be cool to make money doing art. I'd make art because I have to make art. And if it makes money, then that's just a bonus of how fucking good I am, you know? There's all kinds of great lines in there. The whole last verse when he's writing, because he literally is in a power outage, and he's like, I wrote this ill report with a torch in my mouth after the power went out. And then, like, you know, saying how his metaphorical spark lights the room. And, you know, like, he's lighting the room with his own brilliance because his thought balloons are so bright and all that. Then there's the whole middle part where he's saying, like, did you forget what Confucius said? Talk, don't cook rice. And I ain't gotta play nice with your mice and men plans till you put in the work and get some fucking dirt on your hands. Bitch! You know? So yeah. He wrote all the way past the margin. He did... I love that his verse... At first I hated this, but when I thought about it, I loved it. That he does the chorus at the end, and the beat is just fading out under him. And at first I was like, well, maybe we should remake the beat to, like, match that. But then I think it's kind of great that he's still screaming even though the song is, like, over, you know, and he's like, no, I'm not done! So, yeah, that's Get Action. So I guess the next one, actually, would be White Nigga, which had a super long production cycle for neither one of our faults, really, but because of 9-0.
Well, actually, I had made the beat for that one, but then we didn't really think about it. Like,
no, I did.
I wasn't really, like thinking of that beat
as a part of the album.
Wait. I think I'm thinking of the wrong song.
I'm not sure. Well, the song White Nigga, you sent me the beat, and it was just called Hype as Shit.
Yeah. I remember now.
Yeah.
I was thinking of the wrong song.
Okay.
I was thinking of Actualize.
Oh, yeah. So with White Nigga, you sent me the beat, and it was originally meant for Get Action, but I didn't think it was the right BPM for it. So I held on to it. And I just happened to be writing this song, and, like, I think Get Action and White Nigga are the two songs that have by far the most, like, lyrical power. Like, they're the two songs, in terms of, like, skill. Like, I really put a lot into making them have, like, an intricate wordplay and flow and, like, and rhyme scheme and stuff like that. So with that one, what inspired it originally, and this is a song that I have a lot of, like, personal depth in. And if you watch a lot of my videos, you've probably heard me rant about this stuff before. But, what inspired it was the first line in Get Action, where I say, fake niggas all looking at me. And I really struggled with, am I going to say nigga in this song? Because, like, there's a lot of people out there who have a real problem with white people saying nigga, you know? And I thought about it, and I'm like, well, who is this song for? Is it for me, or is it for people on the internet who might get mad at me for putting this in my song, you know? And I was like, it made me so mad that I even have to think about it. And there's a lot going into this. Part of it is the rapper Milo. I've been a big fan of Milo since 2013. Milo seems to have some disdain towards white people liking his music. Milo has said openly that he doesn't like when, like, he's offended by white people saying the word nigga to him at shows or, like, you know, rapping along and stuff like that. He called out Death Grips for having the album Niggas on the Moon because there were two white guys in the band. And he's like, seems suspicious to me, bro. And I was like, yeah, because totally not the rapper who probably fucking titled the album, who is black. But whatever.
Who's the Flat Earther?
B.O.B.
Okay, never mind.
Were you thinking Milo was that?
I felt like it might have been him.
I mean, Milo's a really cool and smart guy, but just, like, you know, his stance on this was really bothering me because he really was, like, making it out like if his fans, if you're white and you say nigga, don't be a fan of me. That's, like, his stance. You know, he even said, like, it bothers him that, like, so many white people listen to his music and stuff like that. And I'm like, dude, you're the one out there making music available for everybody. You know, you put your music out there for anyone to listen to. Your music is going to influence and inspire people, and you say nigga all the time, so what do you expect your fans to do? You think your fans are going to listen to your song and be like, oh man, this song affects me on such a deep level, but I'm not going to sing all the lyrics. Let me skip the word nigga when it comes up, you know? Like, what the fuck is that? And there's a lot of white rappers who won't say it. Like, Eminem never says nigga, LP never says it. And I'm like, I'm listening to Run the Jewels, and it's like LP and Killer Mike in the same song. And Killer Mike says nigga 4 times, and LP never says it once. And, like, maybe he just doesn't say it at all in his real life. But I'm like, if you say that word, if that word's a part of your identity, it's not up to anyone else if you get to say it or not, you know? Say the words that you actually say in your real fucking life. Now, I grew up not just around black people or around rap music, I just always heard the word. It was always a part of my life. You know, it's a word I've been hearing since I was a child. I would sing along to songs like Shame on a Nigga by Wu-Tang, you know? Like, when I was a kid, it was just it was something I heard a lot. And then I remember, like, when I was going to school, my parents being like, okay, when you go to school, you can't say that word because it's, like, a bad word. And I was like, why? And they're like, oh, just don't, you know? And I remember I had this black friend who we would sing Missy Elliott songs together. And one time, because we only heard the censored versions on TV, there's a sign where she's like, if you want to battle me, then people, let me know. But in the original, it's nigga, let me know, I think it's that line. And I had said it in front of him, and he, like, got all mad and, like, started crying and stuff. And I was like, because I wouldn't have, he told me to apologize. And I was like, why? And he was like, because you're not supposed to say that word. And I was like, why? And he wouldn't explain it. He just cried and went inside. And I was like, clearly this makes some people upset. But why does it make them upset? You know? Like, I get it. It's different if you're black. I get that. But it doesn't take into account how I feel having grown up with this word. And, like, I know that there's an otherness. Like, people, like, black people might feel like outsiders in our culture and stuff. But I've always felt like an outsider in every culture I've ever been a part of. I've never felt like I was a part of whatever group I've been in, you know? I don't remind myself of other white people. I don't remind myself of anyone. I'm a fucking weirdo, you know? Especially back when I was a kid. And, like, you know, I went to school... At one point, I went to a lot of different schools. We transferred fucking constantly when we were kids. And at one point, we lived in downtown Richmond, and, like, we went to a school that was all black. Like, there were almost no white kids in the entire school. Same for you, right?
Yeah.
In elementary. And, like, in that environment, not only do you hear the word nigga constantly, but you are a nigga. People called me nigga. And there was, I distinctly remember, like, a time where I was taking a shit in the bathroom, and people were, like, trying to figure out who was in there, and they're like, oh, it's that white nigga! That white nigga's in there, you know? And so people would call me white nigga all the time. Like, that's, like, because people didn't remember my name, because my name's Conrad, which is not that common. So, yeah, like, I was referred to as the white nigga all the time. And, like, that word does not even mean black people at all in, like, around black people. It just it can mean anything. It can be a positive or negative connotation, you know? There's my nigga, like in the song My Nigga, which me and one of my friends did a cover of, my black friends. And that's the funny thing, like, anytime you say, like, I grew up around black people, I have black friends, people are like, oh, that's no excuse for blah, 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 whatever you're saying. I'm like, it kind of is, because, like, if you hang out around people who say nigga all the time, then of course that word's gonna be in your head all the time. It's gonna be a part of your thoughts. It's gonna be how you think of people. I think of my friends as my niggas, you know? I think of fake niggas as fake niggas. And there was no other word that would have conveyed that emotion. You know, what am I gonna say? Fake people? Fake artists all looking at... No. It's fake niggas who are looking at me like I don't know what I'm doing, you know? That's how it was meant to be. So, when I wrote this song...
My mom also says it a lot.
Yeah, my mom, but she says it because she also talks in ghetto slang half the time because she grew up in a fucking black neighborhood.
A ghetto talking school.
Right. So, like, it's not about your skin color. It's about how you grew up. It's about who you are. It's about where you're from. I'm from a place where people say nigga, you know? It's a part of my lexicon. It's a part of how I think. And I know that nowadays I talk very proper and straight and like a white guy, but that's because I trained myself to talk this way for videos. If you listen to my older content, I sound way more southern and like, you know, sort of a little bit a little blacker, you know, mostly more southern though. But, like, I trained myself to talk very cleanly for videos, and now that's just how I talk. But, you know, the way I think still calls back to my childhood and stuff. So, going through and is there anything about this beat that's particularly interesting? It's just, I know you produced it very quickly.
I did it very quickly. I mostly forgot about it for, like, a long time. I like the melody. I don't think I put any, like, interesting samples or anything in it.
Sample or anything?
Actually, yes, now that I remember. That is, yeah, that one song by, whatever the heck it's called. It's, like, I think it's called September is the song, but I can't remember the title of the band. It's like, do you remember?
Oh, that song.
There's a part where he's going like, ba-de-do, 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 ba. And it's him going, ba.
I see.
So it's like,
oh man, we co-opted black culture in more ways than one. That song, no. But so, yeah, so my lyrics for that song go, can't be on a mic, say you don't bite flow. Which just means that everyone's inspired by something. Like, you cannot write rap songs if you've never heard rap before. It's not a thing. If the reason you write is the reason you perform rap is because you've heard rap and you were influenced by rap. So no matter who you are, if you're performing in this genre, you bite flow. You're biting from someone else. You know, what you know ain't packaged with your soul. That baggage come and go. You're not just born into whatever you are. You have baggage that comes and goes throughout your life. From the pink tube to the black hole. The pink tube being the vagina, and the black hole being the end of the universe. Rap gold ain't a nigga birthright, it's the Iron Throne. No one's born with rap powers. You have to fight for it. It's the Iron Throne like Game of Thrones. Everyone's fighting for it. And so that lyric, it wasn't intended as a direct response to a Milo lyric, but there's actually a song where he says, like, I wasn't born he says, I wasn't taught the language of rap song, I was born speaking it. And another line, he says, I wasn't taught the language of black man, I was born speaking it. And I'm like, no one's born you bite flow. If you're on a, if you're on a mic, you bite flow. What you know is not packaged with your soul. The bag is gonna go. What you condone is of no consequence. Your sense of righteousness, essentially irrelevant. I sent the message I intended, defended my mind that you thought you upended, which is just me defending my use of language. Whatever you think is okay, I don't give a fuck. If like, I've had a lot of videos where people are like, I'm a black guy and I approve of you saying nigga, or I'm a black guy and I don't approve. And I'm like, I don't care. The fact that you're black does not make me care more that you approve whether or not I say nigga. It's a part of my culture and language. I'm gonna say it, Like, that is, it's just racist, actually, to say, like, oh, well, I am the keeper of that word, so I'm gifting you permission. It's not that way, What you condone is of no consequence. Your sense of righteousness essentially irrelevant. Defended my mind that you thought you upended. My friend, it's essential to be only me, that's myself. Concerned with my wealth and with my mental health. So what did they call me in school? Let me help. It might start with an N, right? Wait, holy hell. I nearly forgot that I'm white. So let me not say nigga when I sing along to a rap song, cause that would be racist. Segregate the language. Forget my identity. Let's all say faces. I explained all that pretty much. And then just breaking tone. Fuck that. Buck that trend like the bull that it is. Save the white guilt for the kids in the burbs. Never heard of a word like trap or been schooled in the BAP because they think it's for blacks. So, like, people always talk about white guilt and how, like, white people, are afraid of offending black people or they feel guilty about slavery or whatever. And I'm like, society doesn't progress by us drawing lines between ourselves. If you decide that you're like, oh, I feel sorry for black people, then you're actually just making a differentiation between them, as opposed to saying we're all the same people and we can all speak the same language and all be the same guy, So I was saying save the white guilt for the people who actually should feel guilty, which is the kids in the burbs who are actually racist and don't care about black culture and don't know what it means and have no affiliation with it, And I have this image in my head of the school we went to before we lived in Richmond, when we lived in, like, a more upscale neighborhood that just happened to be, like, all white. And it was all these, like ritzy white kids who were, like, super up their own asses and stuff. I don't know if your school was like that, but I was in high school at the time, or middle school at the time. And
Independence Middle School was kind of like that.
I definitely remember it was, like, a bunch of, like, hipster, uppity white kids. And it was, So that's what I imagine when I say the kids in the burbs never heard of a word like trap or been schooled in the back because I think it's for blacks. We stand on the cultural backs of our parents, a swirling milkshake of our heritage that I drink down for the powers of those before, imbue with the fire by which future I forge. Now look, we all come from Africa originally. Like, all humans originate from the Fertile Crescent. We're all the same people. We all come from the same place. We all stand on the cultural backs of everything that's come before us, which is everyone, Like, I'm not, like, just because I'm white doesn't mean I'm more influenced by white culture than I am by black culture or world culture or anything else. Most of my life revolves around Japanese culture. So, like, to say that because I'm white, I therefore am automatically co-opting black culture or some other culture, even though those are what influenced me, I am nothing if not a swirling milkshake of my heritage, then, fuck them, whatever. So this rap was originally written to be done in Danny Brown voice. Like, I wrote it because I was really into Danny Brown. He had this new song, When It Rain, and I love that song. And so I wanted to do his voice, and it was going to be like,
carry on the mic so you don't bite flow. What you know ain't packaged with your soul. That baggage can be go from the pink tube to the black hole. Rap gold in the nigga birthright. It's the Iron Throne.
And it was supposed to sound like that. And that's how I've been practicing it for like 6 months, because while I was writing this song to the beat, Nino was asking me to be on the album. He was like, please put me on somewhere. He wants me on his album that he's been working on for fucking ever. Breakfast with Weeaboos, or For Weeaboos, or something like that. And he was like, please put me on the album. And I was listening to that beat, and I just had no desire to write a second verse for it. I was like struggling racking my brain, like, what am I going to write for the second verse? And then he messaged me, and I was like, hey, wait a minute. Nino, you're black? You have strong opinions about the word nigga. You join me on this song, you know? So I give it to him, and he wrote his verse, which is fucking phenomenal. I love his verse a lot. Because he also took this very personally, but whereas I brought it from more of like a, you know, personal experience defending myself, he presented it more from a historical context point of view. He wrote this verse pretty soon after I gave him the beat. It was just that he didn't record it for months, you know, and I didn't want to like keep pushing him for it because we didn't have the rest of the album finished or anything. So he finally got me the verse like a couple weeks ago, and, you know, I'm satisfied with it, but it did take a long time. But in the process of me waiting, like, I had practiced this thing ad nauseum, but when I was actually trying to deliver, I just could not get it to sound good on recording. I recorded this one over and over again, didn't like any of it, and then finally when I recorded it, I went for more of like a sassy tone, so it came out like, can't be on a mic so you don't bite flow, what you know ain't packaged with your soul, that baggage come and go. And it just sounded better. But the weirdest part is the fuck that part, where, because in the original it was supposed to go low, because Danny Brown does this thing where he'll be in this like high-pitched voice, and then suddenly he'll be like, "Book through a window with some salt blade blinds," you know, like that. And so mine was supposed to like suddenly drop down to, "Fuck that, book that trend like the bull that it is." You may notice from me doing that right now, I have a terrible deep voice. So like, I kept trying it and it just didn't sound good. So then I tried, what if I went higher pitched, double layered it, and made it really intense? So it goes up to, "Fuck that, book that trend like the bull that it is," which is weird. It's a weird transition. It doesn't quite sound right, and I don't know how I feel about it because in my head it still drops low, and the fact that it drops high throws me off every time. So I don't know.
I mean, it's a little weird.
Yeah. I feel like maybe I'll get used to it eventually. But then you got Nino's verse. It's not a throne, it's a hot seat. Chucky D was keeping it warm. He got up to dust his shoes, and soon a whole bunch of other niggas changed up the form. Sound of the hood in the streets. Used to rebel and release. God, I can't remember. The basic idea is that he's saying that, like, you know, years of abuse from police captured on vinyl CDs. Music from a whole generation was penetrating and changing minds of all different races. So, like, he's saying that, you know, rap music was originally, like, about the black experience and about, like, you know, living in the hood and the streets and getting abused by cops and stuff. But everyone heard it. Rap was a phenomenon. It wasn't just black people listening to it. It changed everyone's minds. It made everyone upset at police. It made everyone upset about the conditions in the projects, you know? So, he goes on to say, like, everyone's, you know, trying to throw up at their figures, proud of how they're getting bigger when they never stop to give a thought, measure every listener with melanin to see the number jettison when compared with the record spot. So, like, you know, if you actually look, if you're a hugely successful rapper, then there's probably a lot of white people listening to your music. And those people are being affected by it and changed by it every bit as much as anyone else. If you're upset with people saying shit, I don't know the lyrics that you wrote down, then you're looking at the business wrong. Don't be a nigga writing nigga, so niggas who ain't the niggas who could sing along, which is the greatest line ever. He delivers it so perfectly. Jesse said he wanted that line tattooed on his body.
Oh my god.
Did you get that? Do you peep this? Do you understand? Do you really need a nobody from London town to whatever? He's from London, if you can't tell from his voice. You know, I mean, I believe he's of African descent. But he grew up in London, something like that. And, yeah, like, it's funny because when I told him about this song and everything, he kind of sees himself as, like, an outsider to, like, the origins of rap, because it really comes from America, and, like, he's from London, which has its own scene and its own different kind of culture. So, like, you know, it's kind of funny to him to comment on this, where he's like, you know, I'm black, but I don't feel a part of whatever these guys are saying is, you know, wrong or right or whatever. He's like, everyone should say whatever they want to say. So, yeah, it was cool to have him on. He did a fucking phenomenal verse. His recording quality was not that great, but I somehow managed to, like, with very little editing, make it sound good in the song. And I think his verse might be better than mine. even though I really was proud of my verse, but then when I heard his, it has more impact, you know, whereas mine's a little bit more cerebral and out there. But yeah, pretty good stuff.
It's pretty good.
So this is long. This is taking a long time. We're only 4 tracks in, I think, or are we 5? We did Waves, Rotten, I'm Mortal, Get Action, and White Nigga. Okay, we're halfway through. Hopefully the second half will go quicker. Let's cut this clip. So the next song in the production cycle would be Bedroom Bedrock. And the way this one came together was that I had, I have always been, the way I rap is very conceptual, right? Like, I like beats that are kind of weird and out there, and I write lyrics that are, like, making one central point, and they're short and weird, and the flow's all over the place, and that's it, right? And when I listen to raps, I tend to like ones that feel like complete songs, like Kendrick Lamar or anything on acid rap and stuff like that. They feel like a fully fleshed out song, like that's an experience and has its own emotions and feelings. Whereas a lot of classic rap, like the boom bap stuff, is just kind of a beat that lasts for 4 minutes and then just bars over it that have little to do with the beat itself, you know? Like, compare a song like I from To Pimp a Butterfly, where it's like the beat is totally ingrained into the lyrics and like it all swirls around each other and, you know, or not I meant you.
Oh.
You, where
both
of them. Actually, both of them. Both of them are songs where like the lyrics and the vocal performance and the music are all, you know, formed together. Whereas a lot of classical rap stuff is just a beat and then someone rapping about something. And I've never been as into that kind of stuff, but I appreciate it because those people usually are the best lyricists. You know, like they're the ones who will break out the crazy flows and wordplay and great rhymes and stuff like that, and like the thesaurus words. It's usually that kind of rap. So like I respect it a lot, but it's not the kind I really listen to. But I wanted to do something like that. So Aesop Rock had just come out with his new album. Don't remember what it's called. But I was listening to it, and I thought it's pretty good. Again, not my kind of thing, because it's that kind of rap. But I told Shade, I played you like a couple songs in the car, and I was like, make me something like this. And you made Bedroom Bedrock. Tell us about the beat.
I really like the beat for Bedroom Bedrock. It's pretty good. The only actual sample in it, which I thought was awesome, is the a sample of the... I don't remember what her name is, but it's like this sort of like queen or princess chick from Demon Souls, who is like...
Tower of Latria.
Yeah, that's where she's from, but she's like singing throughout the level, and you can like hear her at different parts. And so I got a sample of her singing, and that's going throughout the whole song, and it's really awesome.
Yeah. By far the most recognized sample on the album. People love that it's in there. So Shade sent me this beat, and it's a fucking trunk knocker. It's like by far the most like direct, awesome beat on the album. It's just like boom, 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 yeah, and so
which is very Tyler the Creator.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of Tyler, a little bit of Aesop Rock, and just all around it's just grimy and badass. And the sample sounds great, and the
which that is actually also a sample of the of that same girl.
Oh.
It's just she goes higher pitched at the second part of her singing, and I just used that part. So it's really from the same thing.
So as soon as I heard that beat, I immediately decided this would be track 1. Because I was like, it's so, like, accessible sounding. Because, like, most of the beats up until this point had been weird as shit. You know, like, Rotten is totally weird. I'm Mortal's totally weird. White Nigga's totally weird. So I thought, I want the album to kick off with, like, a banger so that it'll get people's attention. And then they'll kind of be lured into this other weird shit. So Bedroom Bedrock was immediately like, that's the banger, that's the opener, that's the hook. And, so I decided it would also be called Bedroom Bedrock because I already knew that was going to be the album title. So I thought we'll have a title track that, like, you know, represents the whole thing. So it'll be like an introduction to the themes of the album and set it up. So the lyrics are very simplistic, but they're kind of meant to be more iconic than to be like, you know, it's not about the flow or the, which is ironic because it's the opposite of what I wanted. Like, I had you make a beat like this so I could do an Aesop Rock thing, and I did the total opposite and just made like a really punchline heavy song. But it's just kind of a sly, cool, chill, fun song. And this one has the most references and iconography in it because I wanted it to be, you know, setting up the whole broad perspective of what bedrock means. So it starts off, I hit bedrock in my bedroom, playing New Doom with Aesop Rock and MF Doom. Because at the time that this came out, New Doom was out. I was playing the shit out of New Doom. And, okay, this is kind of a complex emotion that I want to explain. Because it wasn't quite intended this way, but this is how I interpret it. That, hitting bedrock is usually what you mean, like when you've hit rock bottom, right? Like you've hit rock bottom, but at the same time you're starting from the bottom. So like the idea of this album is that this is us at the bottom about to work our way up, you know. And I hit bedrock in my bedroom while I was playing New Doom, listening to Aesop Rock and MF Doom. The reason I chose Aesop Rock and MF Doom is because they rhyme with bedroom and bedrock. MF Doom, bedroom. Aesop Rock, bedrock. It just was very convenient. And, like, a lot of people, when this song came out, like, took it to mean that those were, like, my two biggest influences, which is not at all true. I don't really listen to either one. The reason I hit bedrock listening to them is that they are so technically skilled that it just makes me feel like I'm at rock bottom. That's the idea, is that, like, because those are two of the most, like, respected rappers out there, and both are known for their, like, incredible lyricism, which I have none of. So the idea is that, you know, when people talk about like great lyrical rappers, they talk about MF Doom, and Aesop Rock is like known for his like crazy thesaurus word level. Like he uses crazy words in all of his songs. I'm not that big a fan of either one of them. Like there's songs by each of them that I love. I've loved MF Doom from the Gorillaz from way back, and Aesop Rock I mostly like him because of the Uncluded. But I'm not a huge fan of either one, so it was more about the fact that they were two influential lyrical rappers that made me mention them, and that's why I'm hitting bedrock, not because I'm a huge fan or that I'm influenced by them, per se, and that they rhyme. And a shroom sandwich. Not psychedelic, but delicious, because, like, I like this, I always want to present myself as someone who, I'm unhinged, but not for the usual reasons. Like, lots of people will say, like, oh man, I'm on all these drugs, I'm going crazy. And I'm like, yeah, I've got a shroom sandwich. It's just literally a sandwich with mushrooms on it, you know? And, by the way, there is a music video for the song on this couch, and I've got a green screen behind me showing, like, literally every single thing I'm mentioning in the lyrics. Got no bitches, no women either, for that matter. That one's a play on the fact that, you know, in rap music, women are bitches most of the time, and it's sort of making fun of the misogyny of it, because like rap always comes under fire for misogyny. I don't know how much, like, I mean, yeah, there is a lot of legitimately misogynistic rap, but I don't think everyone saying bitches means it misogynistically. You know, it's just a word that exists in the culture, and I think most people understand that. But like, the joke is, I got no bitches. I also have no women, you know, like, oh, women are not bitches, by the way. There's a difference. But I don't have either one. I'm higher on scattered thoughts than most get on batter and pipes, just in reference to, you know, batter because of mixers or edibles, and pipes because you smoke the weed. But I don't smoke. Weed. I don't do any weed. I'm just high on life, on my own scattered thoughts that make me feel like an insane person.
Give me the weed.
It's give me the weed.
That's what it was.
That's just a Victorism. Anyways, I make a living off my list of gripes because, like, you know, I complain about anime and that's how I get paid. I got no game, no life, and plenty of cash from passion. So, even though I've got No Game, No Life, which is an anime, obviously, I still have plenty of cash from my passion. The type to look at myself and start laughing. So, like, it comes up a lot on this album between, like, that line, the $6,000. Like, I keep talking about how, like, around this time, like, I was pretty fucking successful, like, monetarily. Like, my channel's doing well. I have lots of money. I just don't know what to do with it. In spite of all the money I have, I never leave the house. I never talk to women. I never get out. I have no life. I have no game. But I have lots of money. So at least there's that. Because I'm holed up in my room, cranking up the sub so the bass go boom. That's a subwoofer for those who don't know about speakers.
What?
Subwoofer.
No, I mean, like, would anyone not know about that?
There are people who have no idea. YouTube surfing on the couch with a box of goon and just too much time, not enough to do. So goon is a funny one. A lot of people who listen to this said, what? Americans say goon? They don't. Goon is an Australian term for wines, particularly box wine. So I do a show called The Pub Crawl that I've been doing for like 3 years. It was originally a internet radio show. Now it's a podcast. If you search DJ Cider's Pub Crawl on YouTube, you'll find it. Or if you go to my playlist on my main channel called Every Video Featuring Digibro, you'll find the episodes in there. But I've been doing this show for years with an Australian guy called Cider, and he, you know, a lot of my drinking terminology comes from him. So I'm on... Box of goon is an Australian term, but it rhymes really well, and it's cool, and I like it. And that's the first catchy-ass chorus I wrote, and I love that chorus. Because I'm holed up in my room, cranking up the sub so the bass go boom. YouTube surfing on the couch with a box of goon and just too much time, not enough to do. Chutch? Now, chutch, some people asked about that, is Danny Brown's ad-lib. Like, he'll just randomly shout, chutch, a lot before song. And
I thought it was meant to be like church.
I don't know. I don't know if it means anything, but he says it randomly.
I think other rappers have said it too.
I know Milo, like, on Milo's album, what's it called? Cavalcade. He said it, like, a ton, but just on that album and not on any others. I don't know why. But yeah, it's, I mostly know it from Milo and Danny Brown. I don't know who else has said it, but yeah, that's why I used it. Chutch. So then we get into the second verse. Nothing in life will ever live up to Demon Souls, MC Ride, Endless Chess, and Nobuo Ito. So, for those who don't know, I'm a huge fan of the Souls games. All of them are my favorite game ever. Because Demon Souls was in the beat, I had to make reference to it. So, nothing in life will ever live up to Demon Souls. MC Ride is the singer of Death Grips, who I feel like I can never be as good as him because his style is just so off the wall in a way that, like, I can't fake that. You know, like, if I tried to be as crazy as MC Ride, it would come off as fake. However he does it is just an animalistic, you know, pain deep in his soul. Endless Chess, who of course appears all over this album, who I'm probably his biggest fan, and he's probably my favorite artist. And Nobuo Ito. So, Nobuo Ito is an anime girl. She's from Ichigo Marshmallow, one of my favorite waifus. And so I kind of threw her in partly because she kind of rhymes with Demon Souls, but also because I thought it would be funny to, like, name two legitimate artists and then just, like, nothing in life will ever live up to this anime waifu, you know, like, I'll never find someone as perfect as her kind of thing. So, it's sort of a joke line, which is why I go up at the end, like, Nobuo Ito. It's, you know, it's meant to be funny, but nobody gets it because nobody knows Nobuo Ito. But she used to be, like, my main waifu. So yeah, and the reason I'm comparing myself to all those, I've got a lot of songs where I make reference to the idea that, like, the hardest thing for me about being an artist is knowing that I will never like my own stuff as much as I like Death Grips or Endless Chess, you know, or Demon Souls. Like, nothing I ever make will ever be as good as those things. Nor will anything in life ever live up to Demon Souls.
It's too perfect.
I eat so much stress, my beard grows quicker. The idea of eating stress tends to come up a lot on this album because it rhymes with stuff. Ito, eat so. So, I don't know what it means. I don't know what it means to eat stress, but I do it because it rhymes. I eat so much stress, my beard grows quicker, because I had a long beard at the time.
I always thought you eat so much stress. You're just stressed, so you eat.
That works too. Well, because the next line I say, I'm 10 pounds thicker from my Facebook picture, which was true at the time. Like, my Facebook picture was from, like, January, I think. It was like a New Year's photo. And in the time since then, I had gained 10 pounds. So I am 10 pounds thicker from my Facebook picture. Had a published auto bio when I printed out my Twitter. This is where we're getting to, like, goofy punchlines. You know, if I printed my Twitter, it would be an autobiography. I never read a book that wasn't with me on the shitter. Which is true. I don't read, and when I do, it's only on the toilet. So,
Pooping is boring.
I'm bitter over every bad comment that I've gotten, which is true. Fuck you. Before you type your bad comment, fuck you. Die, kill yourself. I will ban you.
2 hours into the video.
But unassailably self-confident since writing Rotten. So even though people leave bad comments and I get mad at them, they don't actually damage my self-confidence because I wrote Rotten, and it was such a good song that it made me feel like I could succeed at whatever I set out to do.
Yay!
Because I'm holed up in my room, cranking up the subs so the bass go boom. So yeah, that was Bedrock. Not long after that, we produced what I think is both of our favorite songs on there. I don't love the song as much as Rotten just because Rotten is so much more impactful, but by far my favorite beat. Humans Are Okay. My God, I've listened to this beat 1,000 fucking times. I've listened to the song 1,000 fucking times. So Bedrock and Humans Are Okay. These are the two songs that made me like, oh, this album's gonna be good. Like, you know, Rotten was a great track. Immortal was fun. Those were the only two that were out at the time.
Yeah.
Bedrock was where it was like, oh my God, we've got a trunk-knocking beat. And then Humans Are Okay, I'm like, I love this song. I've listened to it so much. It's one of my real-life favorite songs, you know, like, regardless of my presence on it. Around this time, I discovered the loop feature on SoundCloud, and after I released the full lyrics version of Humans Are Okay, I would just loop it all day, and like the beat is so fucking catchy.
It's pretty good. The way it started. The way it started was like, I wanted to make better chords, but by doing that, I was like, I need to make a simpler chord progression. I need to make it a lot more simple, and that's what the whole, like, the main chord over the whole song is. And then, the melody just sounded catchy, so I threw that in there. But then there's also a sample in there that's going like,
which I fucking love. Cause that
and that sample is actually from the final episode of the
F-Zero
anime.
with the Shinenzu Falcon Punch.
So the samples
look up Falcon Punch F-Zero anime, and you'll find the clip we're talking about.
The samples are from, there's a part where the song in the background, the girl goes like, and it's just like the part of it. And then later on,
is
yeah, and then at the end of like every 2 bars, I think it is, there's like a noise, and that is the guy getting punched, yelling.
Yeah,
it's just like going. It's awesome. And then also the bass was like, I think this was the first time I stopped wanting to just use the 808 kick that I had, and I wanted to make my own bass. So I started using just a regular kick and making it sound very generic, and then making my own bass note and playing them at the same time so that it just sounded like a 808 kick, sort of.
So you avoided the 808 kick by making an 808 kick.
Essentially. I thought that the 808 kick that I was using sounded boring, so I wanted a better sounding one that's kind of similar.
An 808 is a synthesizer, by the way.
And also
that Shade has been using a lot of because it's kind of the most famous hip-hop synthesizer.
Yeah. And I also think it makes it sound better when like it goes into the verse part and I could cut away the bass and it's still the same kick. It just doesn't have the bass in it.
So also, there's sound effects in this beat.
Oh yeah, all those sound effects. A lot of them are just random. One of them is Sonic doing his speed up thing, which I thought would just sound cool. A couple of them are just like sound effects that are on FL Studios. One of them is I wanted a gun cocking and then firing, so I got like I think it was like a golden eagle or something like that, and I used that. I can't. The laser fire ones are just like random sound effects.
Yeah, but I like that the first time.
There's also Sonic jumping on like a bouncy pad, something like that.
Yeah, I know there's a sound in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, lyrically, or the beat of the song actually reminded me a lot of Rat King. It sounded very much like one of the middle songs on So It Goes. So like when I heard it, it immediately gave me this like city vibe, because like Rat King, all their songs are about New York and about like living in New York and like and being out in the streets and stuff. And the guy who's the producer, Sporting Life, had described that like he would go out and stand somewhere in New York and like try to listen to all the different sounds around him, and then he would like put that many different tracks into a song, you know, and like he'd take samples from the outside world and stuff like that. And so when I heard this song, it kind of reminded me of that feeling of like standing out in the city and like watching cars go by around you and like seeing everything. So I really wanted it to be a song about going out to town center in Virginia Beach, which Virginia Beach is a very suburban city. Like it's a giant, like in terms of land size, it's massive. It's got 450,000 people and it's mostly suburbs. And like our city center or our town center is like one block of tall buildings with like some cool restaurants and stuff around it. It's a minuscule excuse for a city.
Yeah.
But still, if you go out there, you can have that feeling of like being around people. You know, there's people walking in the streets and stuff like that, which there isn't really in the suburbs.
Especially since I think at the time that song came out, Pokemon Go had just come out.
Yeah, it was around then too. So the idea of the song to me was to make a song about me when I'm out and about, you know, because most of this album's about the bedroom. And so this is me going out, and what do I go out to do? I go out to eat and to just see people. Like not to see anyone in particular, but to see people around me, you know. So I wanted the song to be about me going out and like interpreting people around me. Which is from a very standoffish perspective that like I don't really interact with the people. I'm just kind of observing them. And so the song was, I decided early, like before I even wrote the lyrics, that it would be called Humans Are Okay. Like just that, you know, sometimes people are acceptable enough to go outside and see them.
Yeah.
So, God, I love this beat so much. It's stuck in my head now, just thinking about it. I love it to death. But, so the lyrics for this one, and I don't know if I've clarified this, like, Get Action and White Nigga were both, like, written and recorded sober, but most of the early songs from this, and so was Bedrock, but like all the other ones were written and recorded drunk. This one, I might have wrote it sober, but I definitely performed it drunk as shit, which is why the delivery is so like, the broadcast news is all subjective, you know? And I love that. I think the drunk songs have the best deliveries on the album. Although, not to say that I didn't try, because I tried to do drunk versions of some of the other ones, and they didn't work, because they were too complex. But, so this song, the first lyrics written were, all the best shit in life comes from you and I. The chorus actually just was completely incidental. It's just right in the middle of the song. I was writing the lyrics, and I got to the part where I write, the broadcast news is all subjective. The truth ain't there, you can't protect it. I don't believe a thing you've said, bitch. I nod my head, ditch, and contemplate shit. Which isn't really the thesis of the song at all. It's just that, like, as I was writing it, I hit the chorus, and therefore that was the part that was on the chorus, and it sounded like a good chorus, so I just copied and pasted it at the beginning and the ending of the song, and that was the chorus. So, like, it doesn't really match, like, what the song is about. It's just one little snippet of the song that was catchy, so I used it as the chorus. But,
it's always confusing, too, because it's like, the broadcast news, what does it have to do with Humans Are Okay?
Well, I'll get to it. Because if you follow the rhyme scheme, it makes, like, when you get to it in the middle of the song, it makes perfect sense why it leads in and out of that with the rest of the lyrics. Yeah. So, okay, it goes, all the best shit in life comes from you and I. From mankind, when they ain't fucking around. Like, everything that's good in life is made by humans, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, when they're not fucking around. When they're not stuck on the ground, or straight fucking it up. When they're laying great stuff in the cut and getting the bucks. Now, of course, laying in the cut does not mean anything close to what I said here. Like, to lay in the cut means, like, to sort of, like, lay back and, like, be in, just around in the background.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just, like, but also a cut can be a song. So, like, if you're in the cut, it could be I don't know. I just fucking, it sounded cool, and I liked the way it sounded, so laying great stuff in the cut, like, it sounds, you can tell what I mean, right? They're laying great stuff in the cut. They're making something cool. They're putting good stuff in their song.
I just thought it sounded nice.
Yeah, it sounds cool, but it does not mean anything. When they're laying great stuff in the cut and getting the bucks. So, like, humans, when they're making stuff, when they're not fucking up, they're making all the best stuff in life, you know? So I go to see them sometimes. With a fat wallet, I don't need a disguise. Because I have, historically, I've always felt like I'm out of place everywhere I go. No matter where I am, I feel like I'm totally out of place. Because I look weird, and I act weird, and I don't talk to people, and I feel wrong. But because I have money now, I can go out to places, and I feel confident that I belong there because I'm a customer. You know, like, I can go somewhere and be like, bam, $20. Nobody can tell me I don't belong here, you know? So with a fat wallet, I don't need to disguise. Don't mention politics or the bad guys, or the high concepts and the truths unrealized. Look them in the eyes. Because people don't get it. Like, I'm basically saying that I have all this higher understanding that most people don't have, and I don't want to bring it up because I will lose people and get into fights with people, you know? If you mention politics or the bad guys, everyone's going to disagree. It's going to become chaos. I'm not here to fight with people. I'm here to observe people. I go to see them. I'm not here to engage with them, you know? So I don't mention politics or the bad guys, the high concepts, or the truths unrealized. I look them in the eyes. I don't hate all of y'all fuckers, but some of y'all mothers gotta need to get smothered. But I can set aside my druthers for a waffle and some chicken and a little honey mustard. Druthers is a real word. It means,
wait,
like...
did you actually say that in the song?
Yeah, druthers. I can set aside my druthers.
I always thought you said set aside my brothers.
No, I can set aside my druthers, which is basically my complaints and problems.
Oh.
So yeah, it's a fancy word. I can set aside my druthers for a waffle and some chicken and a little honey mustard. Matter of fact, let me live at IHOP and eat gross tenders till my fucking heart stops. Set up a little booth where I can record my hip-hop and drop in random patrons for podcast interviews. So, this kind of is like a way back reference because, way back, I had done this magazine called the Virginia Beach Hermit Society that I was trying to write and get all my friends involved with, and I wanted everyone to contribute to it, and for it to be this weird, freakish, insane magazine about inane stuff that has to do with Virginia Beach. And one of the main themes of it was that it was like trying to talk about like me and my friends as if we were the interesting subject matter of a magazine, you know? And I have one part where I write a whole article on IHOP's chicken and waffles, because it's one of my favorite dishes anywhere. So I like wrote this review of IHOP's chicken and waffles, but most of the review is talking about the fact that me and my friends used to hang out at IHOP all the time. We would go there late at night and just sit around and eat and talk all night. And so like IHOP is a place I go to for that more than anything, like to go out to see people and to eat, you know, chicken and waffles there. And so the idea of like setting up a booth where I can record hip hop and drop random people in to interview them on podcasts, because another part of the magazine was interviews with friends, where it was just like interviewing my friends just about their everyday life and like asking them questions, because I think everyone's interesting on some level. So like the idea of having a booth set up in IHOP where I could just bring in random people and interview them about whatever is like, you know, a fun idea. So yeah, that's the imagery there, is that it's meant to be about like me going out to town center, seeing people, eating at IHOP, and just finding the world interesting. And that's kind of the whole first verse. And then because now if you follow the rhyme scheme here, it makes sense to say like podcast interviews, the broadcast news is all subjective, you know.
Yeah.
then this just became the chorus. But the broadcast news is all subjective. The truth ain't there. You can't protect it. I don't believe a thing you've said, bitch. I nod my head, ditch, and contemplate shit. So, okay. This is kind of a direct reference to something that happens to me every once in a while, which is when I'm out and about and the news is on, I hear people express opinions about it, or about any world event. This is basically mentioning politics or the bad guys, the high concepts of the truth and realized. When people talk about the news and stuff, it really presents people as the most ignorant fuckboys on earth. Because, like, okay, for instance, there was a time me and Victor were sitting in Faux 79, this place that I'm wearing the shirt of, Faux 79. And there's this one dude who works there. This was right after the Paris bombings, or yeah, when the terrorist attack on Paris from like last year, or maybe early this year, I don't remember.
I think it was early this year.
Yeah, the Paris attacks happened. We were in there, and this dude, like, there's this, like, some military guys in there, because our town's a military town, and the dude who works there, who's this fucking ignorant dude who I can't fucking stand, I hate him so much. He's the worst customer service ever. Just the guy who's like the waiter there. He's always shitty to men. He talks to women, any woman who comes in there, he'll like flirt with them and talk to them all day, but he acts like a total asshole to any guys who come into the store. But he sees these military dudes and he's all excited that, like, because ISIS attacked Paris, we're gonna retaliate and kill all of them. He's like, yeah, man, we're gonna go in there and bust some heads, man. We're gonna fucking fuck them up, you know. That's freedom of speech. He kept saying, that's freedom of speech, man. And I was like, what? What the fuck are you talking? No, it wasn't freedom. It was Second Amendment. He kept saying, that's the Second Amendment, man. And I was like, what? The Second Amendment is the right to bear arms in your country. To have, he was like, we're going to fuck them up, man. Second Amendment. We're going to go fuck up those terrorists. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? That's what I mean. And, like, look, the news, I think the news is the source of a lot of problems in our world, because everyone just listens to the news and takes it for granted that what they're seeing is fact, when it's not. It's not really facts. It's a presentation of facts. Like, let's say that I shoot you in the face. The news can say, like, this guy shot this guy in the face, but the way they present it is not what happened. It's what they're telling you happened. It's how they want to communicate it happened. And they're always going to present it through some kind of lens, through some kind of, like, oh, well, he was, you know, mad at him because he ate his Cocoa Puffs, you know, when it could be something totally different. Or, like, oh, he was like this, and there's never any context to the news. It's all just like whatever story they want to spin, and it's presented in a subjective way. So, you know, the broadcast news is all subjective. The truth ain't there. You can't protect it. There is no truth because no one can interpret truth. We all have our own interpretations. I don't believe a thing you've said, bitch. I nod my head, ditch, and contemplate shit. Because I don't argue with people. When someone says some ignorant shit, I just go, and I ditch, and I go contemplate shit. Then it just gets into sort of me talking about why I'm avoidant of people in the second verse. So, my plate's legit completely full, with fat raps to eat and sick shit to pull. Once again, the word eat here is just, I don't know why I said eat. It rhymes, it's a good word to rhyme with. I love eating, I don't know. Fat raps to eat, sick shit to pull, and thick chords to play, which the idea of the way I said that is, I say, and thick, because you're expecting me to say, like, thick women or thick bitches or something, but then I'd say, like, I wanted it to sound like I'm about to say, you know, do you get that sense at all? Like, thick ass or something like that, and then I say chords. Like, fat raps to eat, sick shit to pull, and thick chords to play. Well, I don't get no play, because I ain't got all day to swipe left on bitches, you know. So I kind of wanted it to sound like I'm about to say I've got thick women, but then I actually am playing thick music because I don't get any women.
I think the pause between thick and chords isn't long enough to get that feeling.
Maybe not, but that's how it was written. It's meant to be kind of a play on expectation, that it's not thick women but thick chords to play, because I don't get no play, because I don't got all day to swipe left on bitches. I don't know which way swiping left is or swiping right. I don't know what they mean. I've never used Tinder, but
I think swiping left is like?
I have no idea. But the next line is, that's inauthentic, but how I roll, which is, I'm always one to embrace the idea that I'm like a hypocrite and that I'm not always honest with myself. Like, obviously on some level I'd love to hook up with a girl or like to go out and get some dating done or something, but like the way I think of it is like, I'm busy. I ain't got time to swipe left on bitches, you know. It's inauthentic, but it's how I roll. I only pay attention when the dinner rolls come out, no doubt. I like people for the art and food. And if I seem rude, that's because I don't know you, dude. Because, yeah, like, I like people mostly for their art and their food. And that's what I leave the house for. I leave the house to consume art and to eat food. I'm not polite to people I don't know that much. I'm kind of stoic and, yeah. With your mouth closed. You're sucking a dick through a closed mouth.
Alright, what's the next song?
So, okay, we've covered the first 7, right? So I think we're in the last 3 range.
Oh, this is all the songs that I made because, like, school had started back up, and then I just made a bunch of songs.
No, not these ones. Well, because that's the thing.
Well,
because the timeline gets convoluted, because all this time, Get Action and White Nigga were not coming out, and Get Action was still unfinished. So one of these beats came before school started, and that was Failure.
Yeah.
And Failure was literally your attempt to do the Frank Javci Nujabes technique. Like, Frank Javci made a video explaining how to make a beat like Nujabes, or who of course is famous for the Samurai Champloo soundtrack, or Jay Dilla. And Shade watched that video and decided to copy the technique. So what are the samples used in Failure?
Well, in the video, he recommends a drum kit website, and it's just got a bunch of drum samples on it. So that's where the drum sample's from. Very simple. And then the piano was just like, I looked up jazz piano on YouTube, and I clicked through a couple videos, and then I listened to it, not even in its entirety, and then I used that.
So very simplistic construction.
Very simplistic. There's also like a little bit of bass in there, but it's alright.
So Shade had made this beat, and
I didn't actually think it was that good.
Yeah, Shade considered it a failure, which is why it's called Failure. Like, he posted it up and it said Failure, and like, at first I wasn't into it because it's just chaotic. Like, the way the piano is so like fast and chaotic that I was like, I don't know, I don't think I can rap over this. But
for anyone who thought that it was called Failure because I thought I was a failure, or if that was some kind of feelings of mine, it's just because I thought the song was a failure.
Right.
Like, I don't mean to disappoint anyone,
but yeah, Shade titled the song Failure, and like, this is like the most popular beat on the album.
Yeah.
Like, because I used it in my Otakon vlogs, and people loved it and like ate it up, and people have been asking me about it, like, you know, every once in a while. And Endless Jess, he heard the song, and he heard the beat, and he decided to write a verse for it. And he literally sent me, like, his completed verse over the song, and he said, Digi, I don't know if you wanted to use this song on the album or not. Like, he said, I'll either write a second verse if you say you don't want it. But, because basically every time you release a beat, Jesse wants to rap over it. But he always thinks that it's for me, so he'll hold off because he thinks I want it. So, like, that one I wasn't going to use, but then he sent me his verse, and when I heard his verse and how great it fit over the rap, I was like, oh, man, I actually do want to cover this song now. So yeah, Jesse's verse came first, and he just sent it to me, and I was like, yeah, I'll rap a second verse on there. But his is like, I don't know the whole thing, and even I don't get some of the references in it, but it goes like, people look at me the way they look at something sad, like a one-legged Charles Dickens orphan with no dad. Which, of course, Charles Dickens orphan would be like, yeah, read one of his books. Now I may be itty-bitty, but I'm sticking to my guns. I don't need your pity. I'll be hip-hopping on the run. Adversity don't hurt me. It only makes me stranger. I get my power from the scars of every failure, I think. But yeah, he took, because you titled it Failure, he took failure as the theme of the song and made that a thing. I
mean, it's good as a theme. You guys did it.
God, I don't remember the next line. It's like, I lie, cheat, and steal like we're Eddie and Chavo. Another A lovable rascal, another fiasco, scheming like I'm Keenan. Ah, here goes on Nick. You can lick my dick. Underestimated by the born winners, and I'm burning you sinners and spitting fire, Lord of Cinder, because your beat had 2 samples in it in the middle. What is that from? I assume JoJo.
That is earlier in the part that I'd sampled before, where he says yada yada does it. He says that thing.
I see. So there's a JoJo sample layered on top of also
the Lord of Cinder's theme.
Yeah,
going,
from Dark Souls.
And then
which is my favorite video game song ever. The Lord of Cinder.
It's pretty great.
So Jesse heard that sample and based his line, Spit and Fire, Lord of Cinder, off of the fact that the sample was already in there. And then so I had the track, and the reason I started... Because remember, in track 1, I said, nothing in life will ever live up to Demon Souls, MC Ride, Endless Jest, and Nobuo Ito. That's 4 of my favorite things. Now we have a song with Dark Souls and Endless Jest in it. So that's half of my favorite things. So I start off, damn, half of all my favorite shit on this track. If I could live up to that, then maybe tackle this fat and stop stressing all the tax on my stacks, I'd feel great. Now, the tax on my stacks is because... You know, I keep saying I make a lot of money. I never feel comfortable because I have okay, no one pays my taxes for me. Like, if you have a normal job, then, you know, you make $500 on a paycheck, but you only get 400 or so because the company pays out your taxes. And then at the end of the year, you file a tax return and you get money back. At the end of my year, I have to calculate how much money I owe the government, and then I have to send them that much money. Now, the last 2 years, I had like my initial tax rate was like $5,000, like over $5,000. I wrote off everything I could possibly write off and got it down to like $1,100, right? But I was making like minimum wage on those 2 years. This year I'm making way more money, so not only does that mean my tax rate, like, you know, not only is the amount I'm paying going up, but the percentage I'm paying is going up because I'm in a different tax bracket. So, like, the amount I owe in taxes, I have no idea what it'll be, but it could be, like, a crazy amount of money. You know, so I have no idea if I have enough money saved up, or, like, what it's going to be, or what bracket I'm in now, or how much I can write off, because almost everything I've bought this year I can write off, but will it be enough? I don't know. So, stressing the tax on my stacks is my biggest stress in life. I can't wait to be full enough to push aside a plate, to actually have enough, like, to feel comfortable in what I've accomplished enough that I don't need to keep taking on new things all the time as I do. This looks... I'm gonna stop this. Alright, where was I? Yeah, I can't wait to be full enough to push aside a plate. I may never be cool enough to look you in your face, but I'm just past schooled enough to put you in your place. So I'm kind of saying, like, you know, I don't really have, like, the self-confidence that I'm a super cool guy that I can be, like, you know, like, yeah, man, I'm gonna act cool around people, but my skills speak for themselves and they're enough to put you in your place. No debate. My greatness ain't up for contest. I don't need to flex, bitch. I write my own test and I pass with no sweat. I suit myself. Monkey up, strutting, nothing could pollute my wealth. So, the idea of, like, writing my own test is, like, I don't need to fit anyone else's standard. As long as I can pass my own test, then I'm fine. And I pass my own test with no sweat. I suit myself. Monkey up. Like a monkey suit, you know? Like wearing a... I love the idea of monkey up as a phrase for putting on a suit. Like, yeah, I monkey up. Strutting. Nothing could pollute my wealth. Of good rhymes and fun times and feeling fresh. No, wait. Nothing could pollute my wealth. It's not good rhymes. It's... Nothing could pollute my wealth of something and feeling fresh. Spitting rhymes and changing minds like Endless Jest. And part of the reason I wrote Endless Jest into this at the time is that this was around when the PCP were all fighting and Jesse wasn't talking to anybody for a while because of a podcast we did where everybody got mad at each other. So I kind of wanted to, like, be like, hey, Jesse, still love you, man. You know, you're the coolest guy. I'm rapping on this song with you. And you know, I was like nervous about asking him to send me another recording of the verse because he was like absent from the whole internet for like a few days, and I was like, oh, let's summon him back with praise, but also because he's cool. Spitting rhymes and changing lines like endless jest. Now this next part's the most important. Not impressed, categorically attracted to a fault, to the ideal of a rapper hitting 80 by default. Okay. So when I was writing this rap, it's very simple. The rhyme scheme is very simple. It feels more like something I would have written towards the beginning of the album. But I liked it, and I felt like there was no need for me to constantly be trying to impress people with my raps. You know, I'd already written Get Action and White Nigga, which are, you know, fairly impressive on a technical level, and I was like, I don't need every song to be that. Some of it can just be whatever I want it to be. It's whatever I feel like expressing on the song. And, you know, some people feel like rap always is supposed to be fast and technical and stuff, you know, and like Best Guy Ever was saying how he loves fast rappers, and like Jesse hates fast rappers. Jesse's like, I don't need
like
it
him either, really.
Jesse's like, I don't need it to be fast to be impressive. It's about the delivery. It's about, you know, heavy hitting words and images and stuff in your lyrics, which you'll notice that Jesse mostly raps on the slower end on this album, you know. So yeah, that's why I was saying, like, are you not impressed? Are you categorically attracted to a fault, to the ideal of a rapper hitting 80 by default? Now, the irony of this is that this is a more, like, clever wordplay and faster, like, thing. You know, like, I wanted it to be like, oh, by the way, I can flex nuts, but I'm just deliberately not doing it, you know? So that's why I pick up there. And then I say, hold the salt. I don't need it, baby. I'll get out and walk. Now, of course, the idea is that we're hitting 80, so we're in a car. But I'm like, I'll get out and walk because I don't need to deal with you and your fucking shitty attitude, you know? And then, of course, the big pun at the end. I'm a giant. Get your jackass off my beanstalk. Now, of course, Jack in the beanstalk, Jack the giant killer. I'm the giant. Get your jackass off my beanstalk, you know?
Whoa!
It's a clever fun.
Boy!
I'm pretty proud of that one. And I think that was like one where the original line was something totally different that was way worse, and I just thought it sucked, and then like I just sat around like thinking of a cool wordplay to fit in there, and that was great. So yeah. Pretty good song. And yeah, again, most popular beat. That's Jesse's favorite song on the album because he loves the beat so much. And Subsonic Sparkle said it was his favorite beat. He's a YouTuber. Anyway, so next up, so this was where there was a huge gap, because after Failure, it didn't come out for a long time because I was waiting for Jesse to redo his verse, but there was like 2 months before the next song got produced, because Shade spent the entire fucking summer hanging out with his friends and playing D&D every day, and not doing shit. Was that not what you were doing?
No, I was playing Overwatch.
Playing Overwatch.
And Pokemon Go.
Playing with his friends, playing Pokemon Go.
Mainly Overwatch.
The whole summer, not doing any fucking beats. And I was so frustrated, because I was like, look.
And hanging out with Amber, like, 90% of the time.
All we needed for the album to be done is 2 completely new beats, Get Action beat finished, and for Jesse and Nino to send me their verses. And I was like, I had already written the Actualized rap. Like, I wrote that not too long. It was around the same time as Failure that I wrote it. So I was sitting around like, this album not coming out is totally not my fault. I'm just waiting on everyone else to finish their part. And I wanted it to be out as fast as possible. I really wanted it to be out before summer. And I definitely wanted it to be out before RadCon. Because a lot of the songs on this album reference the idea that we're living at home with our parents, that we're in our bedrooms. All that was about to change because our parents moved out of the house and left it to us. We moved in, several of my friends, and now we run the house. So we don't live with our parents anymore. We don't live, like, you know, we're not tethered anymore, as Wave says. So, like, a lot of the lyrics were going to become irrelevant as soon as this move happened. So it was important to me that this album encapsulates that part of, like, that moment in time of that 6 months leading up to this big change. And then whatever we do from now on will not be bedroom bedrock. We're up from the bedrock. We're out of the bedroom, you know? So I wanted it to you know, finish off that thought and then, like, kind of allude to the fact that this was not going to be the case anymore in the future. So I was just waiting for Shade to produce more beats. The first day of school, like the second Shade went back to school and had structure in his life again, within like 48 hours he finished all the rest of the beats.
It was because I think really what it is that I hate school.
Yes.
Like,
I know that's
really
what it is.
Freaking hate school. And when I get home, I'm like, I hate what I just did. I'm so bored. I really need to get on something. And I'm alone.
Yeah.
So I'll make a beat. And that's what I did.
And so you made the actualized beat, which is built of samples that I greatly appreciate. What is it made out of?
I was like, because I thought the failure was a failure. The rap with it is pretty good, but I was like, I need to use that method again with that, and I was like, I might actually do a lot more songs with that method. But I was like, I need to make it kind of nerdy. I need to make it more me. I was like,
because the biggest problem with failure, and I had this problem too, is that it's obviously like you just went out and grabbed the first couple songs you could find that sounded good like that. And I think the reason, like, maybe me and you are more attuned to that. Like, we both know that's the case, and that's why we weren't as impressed with it, whereas everyone else was like, whoa, what's this weird piano sample? It sounds awesome. And we were both like, yeah, it's because it's the first fucking thing that Shane grabbed. But this one's more important to us, in a way.
This one is, I was like, what's a game with really good music that I feel like a lot of it's piano? And so I was like, Ragnarok. I can think of a lot of songs with pianos in them. And I was like, I'm gonna go and get a couple of songs from that. So the beat is a sample of like the beginning of, I think it's the Prontera song.
Probably.
And it's like this really like hard bebop beat. And then the other sample is
bebop. I think you mean it's more like breakbeat almost.
Is it?
It sounds kind of like the Amen break.
It's just like
even that would be boom bap, not bebop. Bebop is jazz.
Whatever. I don't know my genres. I don't even know scales. Freaking the other sample is the what is the desert place called?
Morok.
It's Morok. It's the theme from there. It's like this. It's a guitar, but it's clearly not a guitar. Which, similarly, I don't know if anyone has noticed, but like the desert place from Zelda that like sounds like it's two acoustic guitars. Neither one of those are guitars. They couldn't put a guitar onto the N64.
Oh, you mean?
Yeah, those are both pianos. They're just keyboards.
Right.
It's all very good MIDIs. Music. So it's like a good MIDI of like a guitar sounding thing. So I put that with it, and somehow those two things together made a completely different sounding thing. And I was like, this is pretty good.
The Morok theme is like my favorite song from Ragnarok, because when I used to play it, I would just hang out outside Morok and kill chickens all day.
There's actually a third sample that I usually just kind of forget about because it's in the background. It's just kind of going like, it's like some kind of really late game song that I don't know at all, but it sounded like it's like this chapel sounding thing.
Yeah. So
kind of cool.
Yeah, like I love the Morok theme, and like so I was immediately interested. But this beat, I didn't think I'd be able to rap over it at first because it's kind of chaotic and messy and loud, and it has a lot of like weird. There's a lot of parts where you changed it up, but you didn't do it consistently through the whole song. It's just like a couple of random moments where the beat changes.
Because when I made it, I didn't intend on it being a rap song.
Right.
I intended on it being a regular song, and I said when I presented it to you, you probably won't want to rap over this.
But like the thing is that I was desperate. Like kind of the result of these last few songs is like I was so desperate to finish this album. I just wanted it to be out before RadCon and before all this stuff happened. And so Shade gave me that, like, sent me that beat. It was just called Morocco, and I was like listening to it, and I realized that it fit the beat of Actualize. Now, Actualize was a rap I'd written months earlier that I wrote it while I was in the pool. Like, I was literally just coming up with it while I was swimming in the pool. and I told Shade, I want you to make me like a really summery beat for this. Because like in my head it was a pool song. And so the original flow of it was meant to be more like, be yourself, just as long as you was just like me. Follow the rules, but don't give in to society. It was like meant to be kind of goofy and stuff, and just chilled out. But like when I heard Actualize and realized that it fit the beat, I was like, well, I could make this a more aggressive version of the song, like more, you know, blunt and because it's kind of aggressive lyrics anyways, and it still sounds summery in that it's a desert sound, you know. So it fit well enough. Now the opening part, be yourself just as long as you're just like me, that whole bit was supposed to be a chorus that was supposed to happen multiple times, but I never wrote a second verse, and the beat was like exactly long enough for me to fit that and the verse. So I was like, fuck it, that's it, you know, like I want it to be over, I want this album out. Which also, like, Get Action and White Nigga, I'm not completely satisfied with my performance on either one of those songs, just because like, I feel like I spent so long practicing them that they no longer fit the beat in my head. Like, the version I was singing to myself all this time was so much sped up that, like, trying to match it to the beat just felt weird and, like, I don't understand it anymore, you know? But, yeah, that's also how I kind of feel about these last few songs. Like, Actualize, I've warmed up to it now, but at first I was not sure if it worked at all. But, okay, to get into the lyrics. This is actually probably my favorite song lyrically. Like, I think it has the best lyrics and the most of my worldview in it. Which is, the song is kind of like an anti-SJW song, in a way. But it's about the idea of, like, trying to control someone else's identity. And trying to tell people, like, what they can or cannot say or can or cannot be into. And, like, who they can or cannot be. So, the chorus is ironic. It's, be yourself, just as long as you are just like me. Follow the rules, but don't give in to society. We can be friends, just as long as you don't disagree with me, because I know what's right objectively. So, everyone in the world always tells you, be yourself. They always say, be yourself, be whoever you want to be, love yourself, you know. But then, everyone has their own worldview of how everyone should act, you know. Like, be yourself. But if you're, like, you know, if you believe that women should stay in the kitchen, then don't be yourself. Be just like me, you know? People say, which, I mean, I'm not saying I support that notion, but, like, you know, I'm admitting it. I'm willing to be like, yeah, fuck it. I don't want you to be yourself. I want you to be like me, you know? But people act like they champion individuality, but then they all want you to be like them. And then, like, you know, people always say, like, don't give in to society, don't give in to peer pressure, but also follow the rules, you know. Don't give in to peer pressure, but if you slap someone, then you've broken the rules, and it's like, well, what is peer pressure if not all of us setting rules? That's what rules are, you know. So don't give in to society, but also do what society says is right. So it's just this paradox where people don't admit to the fact that having any kind of rules is authoritative. You're always controlling people's identity if you're telling them how they should be. So don't tell people to be yourself if you don't actually believe it. And that's kind of what the whole, like, social justice movement is all about. Is, like, saying, like, we are all our own unique special people, but if you don't feel exactly how we feel, you're a terrible person, you know. So then I get into the verse, and the first line is the most important here, because I've come up with this, you know, there's all the fallacies, like the logical fallacies that come up in debates, like ad hominem and, like, all that stuff. Do you know what I'm talking about? Fallacies. Fallacies is how you pronounce that word. I say fallacies.
I got something phallic for you.
Anyways, I made up my own fallacy, which is the good person fallacy, which is where people accuse you of, like, that your opinion is wrong because if you believe that, it makes you, like, you want to be a good person. Like, you know, like, the idea that you are arguing under the pretense that whatever you're arguing is makes you a good person, is for the betterment of humanity. And that's a fallacy because it's not always true. I'm not always presenting myself as a good person. Sometimes I'm not holding my opinions because I think it's right. I'm holding it because it's what I want. It's good for me, you know. So, that's why I say it's fine if you like me, but I don't identify as likable, attractive, or good by my own standard. you know? Even by my standards, even with, like, what I think being good means, or what I think being likable means, I don't even consider myself to be likable by that standard. Not even by your standard, by my own standard, you know? So, like, it's cool if you want to like me, but liking me, like, being likable is not what I'm setting out to do. It's not my goal. I don't pander to those who would slander my style or collect from my piles of grandeur. That's a pretty obvious line. It actually originally was, I'm no Bernie Sanders or Ned Flanders. I'm much more like Conrad Aaron Collins. That was the original line.
Uh-huh.
Because the idea was, don't compare me to other people, and I tried to pick someone who was super liberal and super conservative, so I had Bernie Sanders and Ned Flanders, but it just sounded awkward and weird and didn't fit the rhyme scheme, and, like, those two characters are too different to, like, make sense. So I changed it to something that fit the rhyme scheme better, which is, I don't pander to those who would slander my style or collect from my piles of grandeur, which basically means, if you don't like me, I'm not here to make you like me. I don't pander to people who don't like me. I pander to myself, and if you like me, that's fine, you know. I get all the respect that I need from myself, so feel free to leave my disc on the shelf. I've got no desires to stoke your fires. I'm not K-Dot, nor am I designer. Now, K-Dot is Kendrick Lamar. Designer is a very popular rap or R&B guy. What would you describe Designer as? Do you listen to him at all?
I'd say he's rap.
But I just picked K-Dot because he's like an artist. Like, he's someone who everyone like really sees as like this highbrow artist who's saying important things about humanity. And Designer is like radio trash. You know, he's like someone who's there to appeal to the masses.
I got bronze with a little.
But I'm not here to stoke your fires. I'm not here to make an album that's going to change your life and worldview and make you feel amazing like Kendrick. And I'm also not trying to make something that's accessible and will appeal to everybody. I'm right on the fringe of acceptable and cringe, and I love describing myself as cringecore, because to me, cringe is something I embrace. Like, people call me cringe like I don't know that. You know, like they're like, oh, you're cringy. And I'm like, yeah, no shit. Like, no shit. I'm cringy. I'm totally doing it on purpose, you know. I'm right on the fringe of acceptable and cringe. I make money off the fact that I anime binge. I'm unhinged, and no one likes to admit when I'm right, because I don't represent any side in their fight. Welcome to my opinions on ReZero. A lot of people really wanted me to rip that show apart. This is not why I wrote this lyric this way, but this is how I feel right now. A lot of people wanted me to rip it apart. Don't feel that strongly about it. A lot of people wanted me to praise it. Don't feel that strongly about it. Don't represent any side in your fight. So no one wants to admit when I'm right. And I'm white, but I rap like a motherfucker, while still living in the burbs with my parents and my brothers. Now, this is one of the lines that was important this album come out before it becomes untrue, because I don't live with my parents anymore. But, you know, I like the idea of being like, look, like, you can't deny that I rap really well, regardless of the fact that I'm a white guy in the burbs living with his parents. I still rap like a motherfucker, you know, while singing covers of songs that nobody respects, because, you know, I love doing song covers of usually bizarre shit no one cares about, because there's not a single person that I need to impress. Money is all that I stress, and I ain't been depressed in a while. But my violence gets hard to suppress when fuckboys mistake my patience for a test and get flexed on harder than they ever expect. Which is people talking shit about me. And usually when people talk shit about you, they don't really expect a response or that you'll come at them. And therefore it's fun to utterly destroy them and they totally don't see it coming. Now see, this attitude is made of influence. And it would take a lot more than a minute to get into it. Which is like, I would have listed off all my influences, but it literally, I was like, that would take the rest of the rap, you know. And I don't mind comparisons, even if they're embarrassing, you know. Even if you say I sound like Linkin Park, that's okay. I agree. But I ain't sharing everything, so don't think that you know all about me. Which is, like, it's important, because even though I make constant videos, and I do share a lot of my life, it doesn't mean that you get everything that I'm about. You know, there's some stuff that is, that you... nothing bothers me more than being psychoanalyzed by people over the internet. Like, when people look at my work and try to be like, oh, this is how he is. This is the kind of person he is. It's like, motherfucker, you're only seeing what I've shown you. You're not seeing the full picture, you know? You see, we as human beings have this thing called empathy that lets us perceive what others see without being where they've been. So when I hear another man singing stories of his sin, it don't mean that I know him, but I get the things he's saying. See, the rhymes mostly make sense.
The him and saying, when you say it, just like... I'm like, well, him definitely doesn't rhyme.
Yeah, it does. But yeah, that's something that, like, that Jesse, like, you know, makes the point of all the time. It's like, look, it doesn't mean, like, okay, empathy is why we can listen to a song and get it. But it doesn't mean that we are that person. You know, like, I can listen to Kanye's My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy and be like, wow, I get it. It really connects with me. But it doesn't mean I know Kanye. I can't speak to who Kanye is as a person because I don't know him. I just get what he's saying. You know, I get it. Cool. That's why I grew up on cultural appropriation from every TV network and radio station. Because the reason cultural appropriation is a thing is that we all understand each other. We're all humans. We all empathize with one another. It's not hard to see something from another culture and connect with it because the human experience is so similar. So that's why stuff from other cultures is everywhere. It's on all the TV networks and radio stations, you know? I grew up watching anime. I grew up listening to rap music. I grew up, you know, understanding stuff about cultures that aren't my own because that's what humankind is. And all that culture is mine now. Define me how you like, but don't expect me to kowtow. That's my way of saying, like, look, if you want to say, you know, define me however you want. You want to say, oh, you're a white guy, you're an American. That's fine, but don't expect me to kowtow to that. Do you know kowtow? Like, give in to your demands, basically.
Is that a...
K-O-W-T-O-W. Kowtow.
Is that a Dynasty Warriors character?
So yeah, and then it would have gone into the chorus again, but that was, the beat ran out, and it was fine. So, yeah, you made that beat, then you finished Get Action, and then you made the last beat on the album.
Final stretch in all caps.
Now, if I remember correctly, I was sitting in your room. I don't know if this is actually connected to the song, but I was sitting in your room and you said something about, like, wishing you could make Katamari Damacy music. And I said, sample it then. And then you made this song, right?
That's exactly why I made that song. It's because,
I think I just broke these.
Katamari released a Katamari clicker game. And I was listening to it, and it reminded me of how great the Katamari music was. So I was listening to, like, the soundtrack of one of the games, and I was like, this is awesome. And then I was just in the room with Conrad, and I was listening to Mr. Sunshine, I think is the title of the song, because that song is, like, covered in the clicker game. So I was listening to it because I wanted to hear the original version again. And
that's gonna be a bitch to repair.
At the beginning he goes, "Come on, everybody!" And I thought that was awesome. And then the next part was like an explosion of sound. So I was just like, that could sound pretty cool. And so I put that in there. And then, so that's like the driving force of the song. I actually tried in a couple times to like take it out of the verse part so that the verse part wasn't so like full.
Yeah.
But it sounded like the entire song was gone if I took it away. So I was like, I guess I can't have that. And the thing that I tried to do to fix that was that I put a Susumu Hirasawa sample in the background that's really quiet and like is completely drowned out by the Katamari thing, which him and Amber have still never like...
How does it go?
It goes like...
I haven't heard it at all.
It's like super echoey and reverb.
It's not the thing
too.
going like... It's not just the like... in the background, right? Does it actually sound like what you keep doing, or is it just totally different?
Like,
because I can hear a weird background sound, but it doesn't sound like what you keep describing.
You could probably can't hear the like like the normal noise, but there's parts where it goes like, ee, and it's like really noticeable.
Maybe.
But and it also like at the end of the song, kind of like trails off in an echo at the end. But I tried to put that in there and see if I could take out the other sample and it would work, but it didn't. It just, without that, it didn't sound like the same song. So it's just this explosion of sound the whole way through.
And I'm noticing you have this weird thing where you do melodies in what sounds like a phone tone, like a dial tone, which like White Nigga had it, this song had it, and one of the songs you did before was like straight up phone noise, but like that doo 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 sounds like it's on a phone somehow.
It's mainly because I don't want to make the sound like trail off at all. I just want it to be a single sound, and then the sounds I always use are just like a beep noise.
Yeah.
So it ends up just sounding like a phone. So but I guess I could use different noises.
So you sent me this track, and like I already had determined that like I wanted the last song on this album to be about like escaping the bedroom and getting up from the bedrock. Like I wanted it to be presenting because of the fact that we were just on the cusp of like my parents moving out, everything was like, you know, falling into place, and it's like, it's not going to be like the atmosphere on this album anymore. Like, our lives are not going to be like this. So I wanted something that was about, like, you know, reaching the next stage, so to speak. And so when you sent me this song, the fact that it has this, it sounds like a constant rising action, because it's like this rising chord progression, and it never lets up for the whole song. It's just this fucking wall of sound. And I was like, all right, cool, that sounds perfect for this. So, I thought, I'm gonna have to shout over it. It's gonna have to be like multi-layered vocals shouting over this beat. But I also wanted it to be fast and like, you know, intense and cool and like show off some skills. So, it was chaos. This song is chaos, and this is the song I'm the least satisfied with the result of, because I tried...
Even I'm Mortal?
Yeah. I mean, Immortal has, like, the beat is weird, and, like, some parts I clip a little bit, but I like my actual delivery on it. On Final Stretch, I have problems with my delivery, because I tried, like, 20 different versions of the song. I was up all night trying to do it, and this was the one... This was, like, the first time I actually felt like, okay, that's good enough, but it wasn't good enough. Like, I want it to be better. I still wish it was better, but I don't know how. Like, I thought about doing it 100 more times, but I was like, I don't know how to do this and it'll sound better. Because when I wrote it, it was meant to be very deep voiced, and it was meant to sound like a group of people singing it. So I wanted it to be like a group of voices going, we about to go harder than ever before, action on every flow, angles, degrees, flows, and pros, and it was supposed to be like that. Sounded terrible, no matter how many layers I did or how much of my voice was in there. So eventually I went high-pitched, because I just sound better high-pitched. You know, we about to go harder than ever before, action on every flow! And then even then it took me like 80 tries to get it to sound passable. It's just too wordy. The whole rap is too wordy. It's too wordy for a beat that is so chaotic. It should have been something more simple and less chaotic for this fucking loud-ass beat that never lets up. And also my lyrics never let up. There's no breathing room. It's 2 minutes of just like the whole way through, you know? So I do think it's too intense for its own good. But at the same time, that kind of matches what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be this intense lift-off. Like, I really had this image of like a rocket taking off, you know, into the stratosphere kind of thing. So, the lyrics are, we about to go harder than ever before, action on every floor. That's literally referring to the idea that both in my room and downstairs, there will be shit happening. Like, there's action on every floor of the house. Angles, degrees, flows, and pros. This is a direct Rat King reference. I don't know if I've misheard this lyric, but there's a part where... in, I think, Bug Fights, where Hawk yells like, angles, degrees, flows, priests of your lacking. There's really no tail ending, tale of a rat king. You know that line?
No.
It's in Bug Fights, but it sounds like he says angles, degrees, flows. And so I said, angles, degrees, flows, and pros, pros spitting pros, which is pros as in P-R-O-S, we are the pros. And we're spitting pros as in written prose, P-R-O-S-E. So...
oh.
Angles, degrees, flows, and pros spitting prose over pavement. No, over pages. So we're prose spitting prose over pages. The stage is set, which is literally referring to the fact that we built a studio. So place your bets on whether we can keep this wet. Like, daring the audience, all right, everybody, how long do you think this will work out for, you know? And do you think it'll work out well? Out of the bedroom, up from the bedrock, we'll rock the stock sounds out of your head. Like, you know, fuck all the stock shit you're used to. We're gonna rock it right out of you and make you like something new. Flock to my crib for the assist if you want to be a part of something bigger than this. Motherfucker, it's lit. Literally referring to the fact that people have come, like my friends have moved in to be a part of something bigger. And everyone coming down for RadCon. So flock to my crib for the assist. Motherfucker, it's lit. Because people, every time you write a good rap, people say, it's lit. And so I was like, yeah, motherfucker, it is lit. So then we get to the complex part. What I spit pull about as much in a month as what I was worth in Rotten. That's because in Rotten I say I have $6,000 and don't know what I want to own. In the month of July, I made like $7,000 because I made like a lot of really successful videos and my Patreon got so high that I literally made as much in a month as what my entire net worth was when Rotten was written. Oh. So yeah, what I spit pull about as much in a month as what I was worth in Rotten. The fact that I got people relying on that, so now there's no looking back. Because now, not only do I pay Devue's salary, but I moved him in with me. So he has no other choice, but like I have to work so that I can pay his salary. You know, people rely on me, there's no looking back, there's no stopping, you know. I can't act like a goddamn child, feeling mild about my talents, getting wild, not giving up. Gotta flex nuts just to stay in the game. This whole part was inspired by the Devue, because there's this really young dude who was talking to me about how, like, he wasn't sure if his videos were any good and if he should keep making stuff. And he was like, you know, I don't feel like you've really praised my stuff all that much, but you praised this other guy who started at the same time. And I was like, I kind of just, like, you know, gave him the get action verse, essentially. I was like, look, dude, if you're not proud of your work, why the fuck would I be proud of your work? You know, work all the time, get better. I've been doing this for 10 years. You know, get action. So, which is something that Devue now says as like an actual phrase. He's like, yeah, they need to get action, man. So Devue had said, like, after he read this, like, he, you know, told him about that conversation I had with that kid. He said, what that kid needs to understand is that for us, we don't have time to question our skills anymore. Like, we can't sit around and be like, am I good enough? We have to be good enough because we have to make money and succeed. Like, I have no time to sit around second guessing myself. I have to go and work, you know? So that's why I was saying, like, you know, I don't have time to sit around. Wait, what did I just say? What was the line again? I can't act like a goddamn child feeling mild about my talents. I have to get wild, not give up. Gotta flex nuts just to stay in the game, which is true. If you're not constantly proving that you're awesome, you cannot stay in the game. Everything you make has to be flexing nuts. It has to be better. I don't know if you know the phrase flex nuts. It's like it's a rap term for, like, you know, flexing, showing everyone how cool you are.
I know what flexing is.
Right.
I don't know what flexing nuts is.
Flexing your nuts, man. When shit gets complicated, gotta tame the strange. This is a South Park reference, because in South Park, there was a whole episode where, like, getting laid was referred to as taming the strange. And so, when shit gets complicated, you gotta tame the strange. Gotta stay deranged. And spread the fire to every house of every fucking challenger who tries to open their mouth. Light it right under their ass if they've been sitting around. And call them out if they think they get cred for being underground. Because if you ain't making a sound, then you ain't really a voice. If you shout loud enough, then listening stops being a choice. So this is all in reference to, obviously, you know, telling people, it's like basically get action Mark II. It's like, hey motherfuckers, if you're trying to challenge me, you better fucking get action and get up and, you know, and talk to me. And don't think that because you're underground, you get more credit. You know, like, oh, well, you know, my stuff just doesn't appeal to a wide audience. That's why I'm not getting any bigger. Nah, dog. Because if you ain't making a sound, you ain't really a voice. You ain't really contributing nothing if you're not getting heard. And if you shout loud enough, listening stops being a choice. If you push yourself down people's throats and keep shouting, then eventually they have to hear what you have to say. get them popping to that shit in ways they never expect, and I'll bet they'll say that we is the best. Because if you can convince someone that they like something that they never thought they liked before, then they'll be especially impressed, you know? People aren't impressed by the same old shit they already know they like. When you convince someone that they like something new, that's when they think you're the best. Then we go to the chorus again. Then it's just brag rapping. I've critically hit my stride, which of course is a clever, you know, critical hit. I've critically hit my stride. Hitting your stride. I've critically hit my stride. I bit so hard my opponents just died. Looking for a pulse like motherfucker you alive? I need some kind of challenger to be my next high that I can surpass, so get off your ass. I passed so many I might be the best guy. I can't even see the ground here at this height. Could fall down halfway, still be alright. That's like me saying that, you know, obviously I'm saying I'm like way up there. And even if I fell halfway down, like if I lost half of the success I have right now, I'd still be alright. You know, like that's how successful I am. I'm so high up, I could fall down halfway and still be alright. But I ain't tripping yet. I'm still giving it my best. Got too much of my soul left yet to invest. You can tell that this is the last song I wrote on the album and I haven't had as much time to practice it and have it sink in because I can barely remember the lyrics. Got too much of my soul left yet to invest. But I ain't tripping yet. Still giving it my best. Got too much of my soul left yet to invest. I don't remember the next line. I'm gonna go look at the lyrics real quick. Soul left yet to invest. If nothing else can best me, I'll do it to myself. Because I can constantly one-up myself and be even better than my own work if nobody else is being better than me. Which is something I've felt like I've been doing as an anime guy for a long time. Because I constantly want to be better than myself, but there's not a lot of people who I actually feel are challenging me in the world of video analysis. Promote never-ending growth of my health and wealth. Which I've overused the health and wealth rhyme to the point that I can never use it again at this point. And hope that I never croak early or fall to hell. Like, I hope I don't die early or just slip off the face of the earth and fuck up. And then, like a shellfish, gonna live forever. This is a reference to a song by the rap group Onyx and the rapper Sticky Fingers. I don't remember which song it's in. But at one part he says, I'm gonna live forever like a shellfish. And no one knows what he means by that. Like, I guess he thinks shellfish are immortal. I mean, I know they live a long time, but he says he's gonna live forever like a shellfish. So I said, like a shellfish gonna live forever. And keep getting better. I'll spiral out, keep going. Which is a reference to the Tool song, Lateralis. Where he says, spiral out, keep going. Because the idea of that song is that you just keep riding the spiral and going further and further into the impossible. I'll spiral out, keep going, and flowing in ways you never heard or thought of knowing, I think is the last line. Yeah. And then the chorus again. And that's it. That's the last song.
We did it.
So the track order I'll address, originally it was, like, I always knew Bedroom, Bedrock, and Rotten were going to be the first two tracks. Originally it was going to go from that into White Nigga and Get Action, because I wanted to have, like, all the heavy bangers, like, at the start, and then have the later part of the album be the more, like, esoteric, weird songs, because I wasn't as sure that those would work. Like, you know, like, Actualize and Failure and all those felt like the B-side tracks, and I'm Mortal, whereas, like, those other ones were sort of the bangers. But then, once all the songs were done, and I could actually listen to them back to back, then it was much easier to figure out a good flow for the album. And I like I really wanted it to follow an emotional thread, where, like, Bedroom Bedrock is, like, making fun of myself, and it's like, I'm in my bedroom, just kind of falling apart and being a weirdo. And then Rotten is, like, hitting the actual rock bottom and being like, fucking, I'm losing my mind, I'm crazy. Then, you know, Humans Are Okay is like, okay, I need to get out of the house for a bit, see the world, remind myself of what people are like. And then, as a result of being reminded what people are like, I end up doing actualize, which is like, you know, my contention with other people and like actualizing myself. And then that whole idea of like the cultural appropriation, like, you know, being who I am, manifests itself into white nigga, which is pretty much about the same thing, but with a more specific, you know, subject matter. And then just the sheer anger and self-importance manifested to get action. I'm screaming at the world, get action. And then I calm down because I remember that I'm going to die one day, and that's where I'm Mortal comes in. But then, you know, even though I might fail in life, failure is like I'm picking up and being like, yeah, you know, I might be a failure sometimes, but I'm still a cool, hoopy fruit and radical dude. And then we go harder than ever before with Final Stretch, and that's sort of the closer. But then Waves, what I like about Waves being at the end, and at first I was like, I wasn't sure if Waves should be at the end, because Final Stretch is obviously the end of the story, but I feel like Waves is such a esoteric and non-specific emotion that it's always true. Like, no matter who you are, you can relate to that song, because there's always something that you're afraid of, like, advancing towards, you know? And, like, those fears aren't gone just because the album's over, so it's still appropriate for it to be there. And I just really love the way that that song fades out, because it makes you want to listen to it again. Like, it fades out in such a way that makes you feel kind of empty and you want sound to fill up, and then you put on Bedrock and it bangs right over again. So it's a really good re-loopable album, and I like that about it. Although I do find Final Stretch a little hard to get through because it's intense. It feels so intense to try to get through that song to get to Waves. And Waves has been like the best received song on the whole fucking album since it came out.
It's been out pretty long.
It's emotional.
And everybody seems to love it. Yeah. I played... It's one of the songs that I played for a friend of mine, Ray. And he said it sounded like pegboard nerds. And I was like, what?
Don't know what that means.
They're dubstep.
I see. Anyway, yeah, that's the whole album. Parting thoughts... Really happy with it. I can't believe we made it. Like, I can't believe we made an album this good, because I'm used to making music that no one will ever listen to, no one will ever care about, nobody would dare pay for, you know? I mean, if you listen to BC, the first track, Done, is like, nobody would pay for this. I can't even call it money, you know? Like, it's music that no one would ever give a fuck about. But I was actually confident enough in this album to put a $3 price tag on it. It's all original. You know, it's all your beats, my raps, and the raps of Jesse and Nino, you know, who are glad to participate. So, yeah, really proud of it, and I hope we get to do more in the future. You've already made a couple more beats. Shade made another great one on... Follow Shade's SoundCloud. That's where the beats come out. And follow my SoundCloud, because I release the songs.
You all just wait around on Conrad's SoundCloud. Just, when's the next song coming? Show some love to this guy.
And all the proceeds from this album are going to Shade, because I make enough money as it is. Shade needs to get paid for his work on this. And Shade's the one who doesn't have a career in the arts. And so I hope this can become a career in the arts for Shade. So
give me money!
Go follow his music. That's it. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you next time.